I am who I am because I value my past. The memories of yesterday can never be changed, but they give me a reason to live again. There is a reason I am here today, but there is no reason you lost your lives. You were called abusive names, deprived of rights to be humans, slayed because of who you were born. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I was young, I still needed you, but you were taken away from me too soon. If I had one wish, it would be seeing you again. Today we're strong men and women, even though you are not here to see. We're carrying on to make you feel proud out there, watching down on us. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I am a witness that if you and I come together as one, we can make sure genocide never happens again. History should be told and passed on to further generations. Let's all stand up and all sing out, never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never you flowers. We brought you flowers. We brought you flowers. We brought you flowers. We brought you flowers.
Good evening, fellow Ambazonians. Happy Sunday. It's exactly 9 p.m. in the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, and you are heartily welcome to this very special broadcast, Ambazonia This Week, first of its kind that we'll be having on Sunday. So you're welcome to this day that the Lord has made for us to rejoice and be glad in it. We would have postponed this program to next week, but because of its importance and the urgencies of issues that we need to address this weekend, all the panelists involved decided that today will be a better day. There was an impromptu, or let's say an emergency cabinet meeting that had to interfere with our program. So much for us to talk about. We will begin our conversation tonight by looking into the United States Department. It seemed to be an interest point because a lover of Ambazonia, a friend of Ambazonia, though with views that are not agreed by a cross-section of Ambazonians by at least 100%, Tibor Nagy announced a few days ago that he is back in government precisely with the United States Department. So what is the U.S. State Department? What is its significance in global politics? How can Ambazonia leverage the presence of this friend in the core of the United States Department? A few days ago, we also had reports coming in from Norway that Dr. Cho Ayaba's bail has been denied. According to the reports, it was stated that Cho Ayaba is a risk to the community. We will provide that as well, and as we look on other very pertinent issues. Just to let you know, Ambazonia this week has been crazy. A certain third-class fun or chief of Ambazonia would, in the shrines of Sawa in Douala, would have designated Samuel Eto'o as Ntumfon. That's a prestigious title given to dignitaries in Ambazonia. Okay, should we provide them to foreigners? It brings us back to the conversation of the auxiliaries, leaders in Ambazonia who are betraying and desecrating our sacred places. Our traditions, our cultures have been defied. But it also demonstrates something very remarkable, how the colonial master takes advantage to enslave people and make them look like fools. So have we meet this evening Barrister Mbeseha, Barrister Fru John Nsoh, Barrister Gana, and the Secretary of State, the only lady on this platform, the Secretary of State for the Department of Women's Services, Dr. Patience Abiedu, as we'll be having this conversation. Right after this break, we begin. Stay tuned. Good evening, Barrister Fru, Barrister Gana, Barrister Mbeseha, and Dr. Patience. Thank you and happy Sunday. Thank you for opting to join this program. We have so much to talk about. I'm not sure if we're going to have sufficient time to cut across the board every important subject we have this evening. But I'd like you all to greet the people of Ambazonia before we begin. I'll begin with the only lady on the platform, Dr. Patience, please.
Yes, Happy New Year once again. Greetings to my fellow Ambazonians on the forum today, Barrister Mbeseha, Barrister Nsoh, and Barrister Gana. It's a pleasure to be with you. And special greetings to our ASA watching from the home front and all Ambazonians in the diaspora. We hope today's program will be enlightening to everyone listening and watching. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Barrister Gana, please. You're muted. I'm sure you want to give us sound.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was muted there. And again, thanks to everyone. This very esteemed and talented panel, Dr. Abiedu, Barrister Fru Nsoh, and Barrister Mbeseha. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to serve our people. And thanks to you, Comrade Paddy, for the great work that you do.
Amazing. Barrister Fru.
Paddy, thank you very much for inviting us once more. Thanks, the panelists. Welcome to Dr. Abiedu and Barrister Gana, who comes on and off. Barrister Gana, I was waiting for your phone call. I didn't get it. But thanks to everybody. My dear compatriots, Ambazonia, Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, at home and abroad, the Ambazonian State Army, we salute you. We bring you fraternal greetings. And today is a very, very important program because it's at the eve of the change of power in the United States. And consequently, the world is going to be affected by a change in the United States as it is always. So it gives us an opportunity to analyze what is going on and how we Ambazonians can benefit or not benefit from what is going on around the world, particularly in the Western world, particularly in the United States. Thank you very much.
That's amazing. Barrister Mbeseha, please.
Thank you, Paddy. Thank my co-gentlemen. And thank, most importantly, to the honored panelists in Kaba. You're welcome. We're going to have a good discussion. I think our viewers and our followers will be happy to see us. It was supposed to be yesterday, but better late than never. Hope we're going to have a good discussion. Hope somebody would learn something from our talking, and everybody will get at least something from here. Thank you again, and over to you.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think we should get into this conversation right away. There's no need for us to waste a single more minute. And this was Tibor Nagy on X a few days ago would write to the world and to his friends, particularly Ambazonia. We know that Tibor Nagy is a friend of Ambazonia, and this is him talking to the world. I should say this is an official document, a press release that Tibor Nagy is giving out there, telling the world. I just would like to read it exactly the way he published it. He says, "Dear friends, adversaries, and trolls, looks like I'm going back to the U.S. State Department on Monday in a position which will be beyond just Africa." That's lovely. "So I'm stopping expressing my personal views until my temporary position finishes, probably a few months. God bless you all, and back soon." Okay, there we begin. I don't know if I should honor the lady first or I should honor Barrister Gana, who has indicated that he might be leaving sooner. But let's take it with a lady first. Let us be gentlemen. Dr. Patience, I'm sure you would have seen this. What do you think?
Yes, I'm glad that he alerted us that he's going back to the administration. And I see this as an opportunity for Southern Cameroonians, for Ambazonians, to push our agenda, which is primarily to gain our independence. But we have to be careful in light of what has happened in the past. I think when we examine this issue, we have to look at what Ambassador Tibor Nagy used to say when he was in office and what he has been saying since he left office. I think that is going to be a good way to examine what we think will happen when he gets back into office. When he was in office, if we remember in 2020, when he had the, I think May 21, 2019, the hearing in front of the US Congress, and he was asked questions about the plight of the Ambazonian people. At that time, he most referred to us as if it was a Cameroonian issue, it was a Cameroon problem, and that solutions that had to be gotten, sought out, had to be in the context of one Cameroon. And at that time, he most likely referred to solutions around decentralization or even federalism. But since he left office, he has he's gone completely in the opposite direction. It's made us understand that it's just a matter of time that Southern Cameroons will have their own land. I mean, we see that from many of his tweets. So I say that this is an opportunity for us to push our agenda and follow the recent trend of his thoughts, that is to say that Ambazonia exists, Ambazonia has to be recognized, and make sure that it happens while he's in office. I'm not going to take too much time because I think the other gentlemen have a lot to say about this, and then I can come back with more information. Thank you so much.
Okay. Barrister Gana, please.
If you don't mind, Paddy, I'm going to defer to Barrister Fru Nsoh for now and then Barrister Mbeseha before I speak.
Okay,
Okay.
Barrister Fru, go ahead.
Yes, Paddy, the diplomatic niceties that you just read indicate one thing. Diplomats, whether in or out, remain diplomats. Ambassador Tibor Nagy was there when we were suffering, and we're still suffering. And what happened then was very, very important in our lives, because he took on La République du Cameroun head on. The official position of the United States was unknown then until the Democrats came on board. He took on La République du Cameroun first by kicking out La République du Cameroun from Agawa. That is the policy then of the United States State Department. Secondly, they withdrew the military accord that they have with Cameroon and banned Cameroon from using American military equipment to attack the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. And that those equipment were limited to the terrorists, Boko Haram in the north. And he was very, very, in fact, that is the only time that we enjoyed the United States diplomacy. And when he left office, the Democrats came in They did not change the policy, which is good, but they did nothing. And they maintained a policy of one Cameroon. And Tibor Nagy, while in power, was like our sister there just said, it was before the Congress, before the House of Representatives, and he said, we are part and parcel of Cameroon, and that any solution will be sorted as in one Cameroon. That was the first time that declaration was made, and it remained the diplomatic position of the United States under the Democrats, Joe Biden. Joe Biden went through 4 years, did nothing, said nothing, did not change anything. Well, I know that I cannot say completely that he did nothing, but there was a State Department delegation on the ground. We know that because some members of the civil society were met. Since then, we have heard nothing more. But Tibor Nagy has returned to the State Department. This is diplomatic niceties about temporal position, finishing probably in a few months, may not be. Because that doesn't happen for a senior diplomat like Tibor Nagy. If he is back, it is because they want him back for a job to be finished. And I will not be surprised. He says he's working beyond Africa. I will not be surprised, even though I cannot be sure, that he will not longer be Under Secretary for African Affairs. Under the present Secretary of State Marco Rubio. If he's not, but he will have a lot of influence, and we are hoping that they will continue where they stop, because that is the only time that the United States government, the State Department, and so on, did something for us. Since then, we have been in limbo, we have been fighting, our people have died, we have lost more than 60,000 people, and now he is back. And all we can do is to wish him well and to plead that he completes, or the State Department completes what they left unfinished when they were in power. That is why today is very important, because we are meeting on the eve of a change of government, and the same government that Tibor Nagy served is coming back, and he is going back. Even if it's for a few months, it may help us see the light in the tunnel.
That's amazing.
That is all I can say.
Barrister Mbeseha, please. I'm sorry. Barrister Mbeseha.
Thank you, Paddy. I think Tibor Nagy, as we call him, we have the greatest luck to have him there. Mm-hmm. Simply for the reason that he's a man who understands our problem. Physically, he worked in Douala. Probably went to Biya and Bamenda several times. Then he went to the embassy in Yaoundé and served from there. So it's a man that we don't need to spend time trying to teach him what we want. He knows what we want. We have to do a lot, because it is rare for us to have somebody like that who has that experience with our particular problem, be positioned where he is going to be positioned in the White House. We have to use him. He knows our problem, and he knows us probably personally, because we can all agree that over the last 1 year or two, a number of things that we have even broadcast them here in this ABC. We have used his name, some of us. He has been insulted. He knows us. I mean, I've been spending a lot of time to defend him sometimes. Yeah, probably knows me. So he knows us individually. He knows how we feel. And so we are not strangers to him. The issue now is, how do we use him in the State Department? He says it's going to be temporary. Let us take it to be true. In other words, how does it help us? It simply tells us that those who are in the diplomacy have to start right now and think that he'll be there only for 6 months. But by this 6 months mission, we would have gotten something out of it. And so it's a guy who knows us again. He knows our problem. I always caution him when we talked about him. I say with these foreign diplomats, it's always advisable to take what is good and leave him or the diplomat with what you think you don't like. Because he wouldn't pay us being so rude, being so arrogant as we did. In fact, none of us believed that he was going to come back. But he's back. And he's so much active on social media. So he knows what we say. Is he going to take vengeance? No, he's not going to take vengeance against us. It's only for us to learn that there's somebody there. Whatever position he holds there, he is an insider. He was the person who told us that Marco Rubio is coming to the State Department and said something in addition to that. That is the guy that can take your problem to heart. I would pray and hope that he doesn't leave the State Department to be sent out as ambassador. Let him remain there. Because once he's in the powerhouse, rather than being an ambassador somewhere else, he has a lot of influence. He knows people there. He knows their contacts. He can give us the contacts. He knows how they feel. He can talk to us. And so for those in diplomacy, in addition to recognizing him as an official in the State Department, we should make him as a personal friend. Try to get his number. We should make him one of those people who can call him at night, who can call him during lunch, who can call him anytime and seek his advice. And to see him as I think he is, he's a very open person. So he will help us. We have to make the best use of him. And then, of course, learn going forward. As I said before, American politics is not impermanent. It turns around in 4 years. Whether Biden did something or not, I'm not one of those who would say that he did nothing. But his term is over. Maybe he will come back after 4 years, but for now, we have Donald Trump. In addition to Donald Trump, we have this technician who knows Paddy. He watches us. He knows me. He knows he knows most of us because we discuss this thing on TV. So we're lucky to have this type of person. And so that's all I can say. Let us have the confidence. And again, for those in the diplomatic circle who are always talking, I don't know those who are there, they will learn the act of dealing with people like that. What will you say? At least to pretend to cover the insults that have been rained on him. That's just a fact. He saw those things. He heard those things. And so we are now best placed. Again, we don't need to spend time teaching him what we want. He knows our history sometimes more than ourselves. He knows what we need. I remember he is the one who told us less than a year ago on social media, Ambazonia will have what they want. We didn't ask him to say that. He was a free man. He was talking from his mind. Now he's going to the State Department as a technician. He can plead our cause. He should plead our cause. We should rely on him. But best know how to handle him. Over to you.
Yeah, and just to add up to what you just said, Barrister Mbeseha, I sent him a congratulation message yesterday because we still communicate after the interview we had about more than a year ago. And he responded. I also indicated that I'd like to have an opportunity now that he has this new portfolio to have another conversation with him. So he did not cancel that option out, but he wanted to get into government and study the environment before he can grant any interview. He's open to a discussion, and I would really like to have that conversation and ask him very technical, just trying to remind him that, like we say in Africa, in Pidgin, they say, when you're man on top plum tree, you're sure that you're going to eat black plum. That's what they talk. So I'm just going to be talking with him just to make him know that we still believe in him and we are happy that he is where he is. He was very friendly with his reply after I congratulated him, and he's open to that, but not immediately. So, Barrister
Paddy,
Gana,
Paddy,
yes.
Paddy, let me say something very quick. Real quick.
Yes, please.
We disagreed with the diplomat on this network. We never insulted him. We disagreed on the issue. We discussed and we disagreed on some of the things that he said as a private person at that time. And that issue was that of the referendum. I cannot remember that on this network we insulted the diplomat. No.
No individuals trolls, not on this network. Social media people activists have a right to their opinion.
I'm talking about this network. I was talking about this network.
And I want to say something to those who are watching us. Every panelist that comes to this platform has a right to their personal opinion. It happens like that in every platform. ABC Amba Television cannot be held liable to any person's opinion. Our editorial policy is not against the United States government or the United States foreign policy. We're representing the views of the government of Ambazonia, and those who come here and say what they want to say, we're not taking responsibility for that. You cannot even file a lawsuit against us for what any panelist here says. So that should be made known. And it is outrageous for anybody to be angry with what somebody would have said on this platform and is trying to hold ABC accountable for it. That's childish. Barrister Gana, I don't want to distract us, but talk to us, please.
Thank you. Very, very, very brilliant comments that have been made so far. Before I say what I want to say, let me make a bold assertion here. We as Ambazonians, we have 3 short years to regain our sovereignty. 3 short years. All the tides, all the winds are in our favor. The tailwinds are behind us. Since 2016, we have demonstrated that we are a people with a mettle who can deliver independence for our people. We've gone through COVID that sort of cooled off the diplomatic efforts, because as we moved into 2020, there were hardly any face-to-face interactions. I know we're invited to the State Department. Some of the last meetings that we held at the State Department was early 2020. We're supposed to attend some meetings at the UN, but COVID sort of cooled that off. So we have 3 short years with Trump coming in. But before I comment again about Ambassador Tibor Nagy, let me just say something that I read, or I think a lot of you guys are privy about it. It came out, or it has come out, that one of the reasons why Sarkozy attacked and killed Gaddafi was because Gaddafi had financed the campaign of Sarkozy. And from everything that is coming out, it is being revealed that the main motive was just to cover the tracks of the fact that somebody who had been deemed by the West as a terrorist is the one who financed Sarkozy's campaign on a quid pro quo basis. And Sarkozy dragged Obama to go attack Libya and kill Gaddafi. Now, why do I bring this? Because Obama was a Democrat. It's very easy for the French to leverage Democrats to achieve their aims in Africa. With the Republicans, and we are on the eve of Trump coming in, and again, I don't want to ask for some of your apologies for some of you that I was saying Trump will be in and Trump will be good for Ambazonia. We can have that discussion some other day. But on the eve of that, somebody who was the U.S. Undersecretary for Africa and through whom we experience some positive things towards Ambazonia is going back to the State Department. Now, I might want to ask a few questions here. 1, what role is he going to be playing? 2, what were his actions while he was U.S. Undersecretary of State for Africa? 3, what history does he bring to help understand, to help him understand Ambazonia, through which or whereby he can also help the Trump administration understand Ambazonia more. You guys have talked about his role in AGOA, stopping the United States government from having the Cameroon government use U.S. military equipment. May I also add that it was when he was U.S. Undersecretary of State for Africa that the ambassador of the United States then to Cameroon, Mr. Peter Ballerin, officially pronounced that what was happening on Ambazonia was a genocide. For these past 4 years, the Biden administration has steered pretty clear of that word genocide. Another angle to the changing tides that are going to be in Ambazonia's favor. The incoming U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida, is the child of immigrants from Cuba. And one thing that Marco Rubio is somebody who is allergic to tyrannical and dictatorial rule. And he has been a bulwark against Cuba for a very long time. And so, given the tyrannical rule in Cameroon, the oppression or the encapsulation of our sovereignty by French Cameroon, there's a history with the incoming U.S. Secretary of State, which we can leverage. Pigging back to Ambassador Peter Ballerin here, what history does his own origins, or do his own origins bring to the State Department to assist in understanding our situation in Ambazonia? Let's remember that he is an immigrant from Eastern Europe. I think it's Hungary. So Soviet operation in Eastern Europe puts him in a camp where he can very much understand what is happening in Ambazonia, especially given that we are experiencing a similar type of operation. Now, I might want to throw in a caution that one of the reasons why he is being dragged into the Trump administration might be because of the situation in Ukraine, since he has that Eastern European background here. If you've been reading the news, you also have to remember that Trump has tapped mostly people from certain regions to become his advisors pertaining to those regions, or people who have an in-depth understanding of those regions. For example, a Lebanese guy has been tapped to be within Trump's inner circle to advise on policies regarding the Middle East. Never mind that Lebanese guy seems to be the husband of his, or the father-in-law of his youngest daughter here. And so, but when we look at the situation of Peter Ballerin, bringing that experience to the State Department, it now gives us Ambazonians the platform to leverage and regain our sovereignty within 3 short years. Why am I saying within 3 short years? We have an opportunity under the Trump administration to get this done. Given the record under Trump before he left power, given what we've seen in the last 4 years, and given the personalities at play who are coming into the White House. Now, we don't want to totally discredit what the Democrats did, because under Biden, we got TPS. And if the Republicans really want to end TPS for Cameroon, or for Cameroon, which also includes Ambazonians benefiting from that TPS becomes a leverage for them now to use as a bludgeon on the Cameroon government to get the situation in Ambazonia straightened. So there are a lot of positives here, which is left for us, the federal government of Ambazonia, to be intentional, to be purposeful, to be strategic, and to do the things that it takes to leverage the incoming administration towards regaining the sovereignty of Ambazonia. Thank you.
That's an amazing one there, Barrister Gana. Before we get into what the government, or some of the actions that the government would have to take, because this platform by default advises Ambazonians in their approach. I want to tell all those who are watching us from all our social media platforms, and those who are watching us from the home front, those who are donors and partners of this platform, first of all, start by donating to ABC Amba TV now, and make sure you're donating to the president's the transition fund drive is still on. If you made a pledge last year and you're not giving it, diplomatic efforts are part of it. Lawyers have to be paid for the Kansas City 3. You need to do that. So we're going to be examining what the government has done so far and what the government can do again. Fortunately, I have the right people on this platform to make such predictions. But I want us to look into the State Department. That's a core, I would say, from my perspective. It's a core organ of the United States government structure the way it is. How important is this department? And having somebody that favors your diplomatic views, your aspirations for self-determination, like Tibor Nagy there. What is the State Department with regards to the U.S. government? What impact does it have in diplomacy and global politics? How can the State Department influence other branches of government, of the U.S. government, to effect changes, like even the judiciary? We have the Kansas City 3. I really like us to look at that, and I'll begin with you, Dr. Patience.
Thank you so much, Director Paddy. So when I always start by saying that I'm not a historian. I just do a little bit of reading. And what I know of the State Department and their policy towards Africa, because that's what our focus really should be, is that they are mainly concerned about development, democracy, and security issues. And also what Americans can benefit as far as trade is concerned. So if we look into those four major titles, development, democracy, trade, and security, then we can find out based on where we are, what has happened so far between Cameroon and United States in the past and where we should be going to. But we have to make ourselves unique. We are Southern Cameroonians. We are Ambazonia. We are not part of La Republique. So what is it that is unique for us? So that when we present our matter, we're saying that you've been doing business with La Republique du Cameroon, a country that is, one more thing, they are very focused on also human rights. So things like human rights abuses and all the like, they shun away from things like that. So we present our matter to the State Department as an emerging nation, Ambazonia, and distinguish between what we will be if given that opportunity versus what they're experiencing with La République du Cameroon, which is a country that is so full of corruption. In fact, they have the corruption indices that they choose to determine whether a country should be aided or not. Cameroon ranks very high in corruption. So as we proceed with the State Department, we have to outline, and Barrister Mbeseha mentioned that there are some people, we have people, some of them on this panelist that are instrumental in deciding for Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia how we should proceed. But we need to distinguish on those criteria how unique Southern Cameroon will be. We are supposed to be a country based on merit, that we operate based on merit and not corruption or not man-no-man businesses. We should outline that we respect human rights, we respect freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, things that La République doesn't see eye to eye with. We should outline that we will be a country that will be immersed in free trade and free and fair trade, and not let ourselves be exploited, as the case with La République du Cameroon. And that in terms of democracy, we want to practice what Americans believe, democracy, where it's a government of the people, for the people, by the people, and not have a regime, a government that you have the same person in power for decades and decades. We want to follow probably the American way, or give something that is similar, where you have 1 or 2 terms in leadership and then somebody else takes over. So based on those few criteria, we distinguish ourselves from La Republique du Cameroon, present our case to the State Department, and push. We don't just do something and sit back. We have to continue the conversation, have somebody who is aggressive in the background. Barrister said, Barrister Gana mentioned that we have to be focused and determined and strategic, and that's what we need to do. I think the future is bright for us. And if we listen to what Ambassador Tibor Nagy has said in the past, and make sure that he remembers what he said in the past, I think that will help us a long way in getting what we want in the next 3 years as projected by Barrister Gana. Thank you so much.
I like the fact that you proactively start suggesting some of the things that Ambazonia has to project. And Ambazonia has a wonderful history that it's like a springboard. We saw, you had people like Fon Dinka proudly said in the 90s that we were the only democratic nation in Africa in the 50s during decolonization. So we have a history and the current phase of our movement that the international community can trust. Though Cameroon is trying to present us as people that are divided, they went even to Banjul with the current prime minister now, and the first thing they were trying to tell the world is that we are divided, so as to distract people from the critical conversation. But to proceed again, Barrister Fru, I want to still guide you on this. The State Department as a core of the United States government, how much can they change? Judiciary, military, foreign policy, as we're looking forward to position ourselves to take advantage of this person that is in it, or take advantage of the current administration. Dr. Barrister Fru.
Yes, the State Department is the most powerful department of the United States government. They manage all of the foreign policy of the United States government. They know which ambassador is serving where. The American foreign policy is managed and executed by the State Department. It's a very powerful department of the United States government. And anybody, all the world, anything happening around the world is centered around the State Department. The State Department now has a problem on the African continent. Just like the French have a very big problem in Africa. The French are being kicked out of Africa gradually, and alongside with the French is the United States Foreign Service, the United States military service that is serving abroad in Africa is also being affected by the attitude of the French. And that is why for the last 4 years, the French have been supported by the US State Department under the Democrats, and therefore they are losing in Africa because of the French policy in Francophone Africa. Therefore, we have to be very, very strategic and careful the way we work with the State Department, because the State Department itself will be interested in rebuilding the reputation they previously had on the continent, and to stay far away from the French colonial policy that had existed in centuries in Africa. In order to do that, we must be very strategic. We must let the present government of the United States know who we are, what we are capable of, what we have, and how powerful are we in Central West Africa. Having said that, I know that we are actually in West Africa. We were dragged into Central Africa by Resolution 1608. and 1514, which instituted the so-called plebiscite on 11th of February 1961. And I think this is the time, like Barrister Gana very, very intelligently put it, 3.5 years is open to us to do what we can do to free ourselves from the French colonial politics led on us and executed on us by La République du Cameroon. La République du Cameroon is crumbling. The French are not yet coming to their aid. The Americans are not coming to their aid. We should stay away from that situation by working very, very strategically with the present State Department. The politics of the State Department is enunciated by the Secretary of State of the United States government. And in this case, it's Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio, like Barrister Gana said, he has zero tolerance towards dictatorial regimes anywhere in the world, because his family background, they suffered from that same dictatorial regime. Therefore, he will be sympathetic to our cause. I am not putting the cart before the horse, but I'm saying, yeah, I'm going with the premise. That he may be sympathetic to our cause because of his participation in Resolution 1684. And he has taken upon himself, let me finish, he took upon himself to ask the president, the outgoing Secretary of State, about the Southern Cameroon's case, yeah, about what is happening in the Southern Cameroon. And therefore, it is incumbent upon us to work strategically and to not let the what is happening in Francophone Africa because of the French affect our relationship with the State Department, with the United States government, and we will get what we want. These are very powerful people. The United States is a member of the Security Council, a powerful member of the Security Council, if not the first. And the French are in the Security Council. Yeah. The Chinese are in the Security Council, and the British are in the Security Council. Therefore, we have to be very careful and work strategically.
There's so much for us to talk about, Barrister Gana. I just wanted to add what you already mentioned about Marco Rubio. We had the president during his end of year speech to the nation actually spotlighting it. And Dr. Mungwat, with the post-analysis, said that. I just like to indicate with you that Marco Rubio, among many other diplomats in the world, is among those the president has had meetings with. When you hear the president, so this is, or this, I'm not, don't go and say Tarh the king said that.
No.
This is public information. Correct. That
correct.
You should understand that there is a relationship between the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia and the current man-in-chief of the State Department. That is very important that Ambazonians know it. Barrister Mbeseha, please talk to us.
Paddy, I think the State Department, as Barrister Nsoh says, is the foreign ministry of the United States, in short. So they deal with foreign affairs. But let me correct this small issue. When I said we insulted him, I wasn't talking about this four of us in ABC. And the lecture you get after is what you the lecture you get after, listen to me now, is what you go to our diplomats. It costs you nothing. When you go to talk to an American diplomat, just a minute, well, all that thing that goes on social media is not our policy. Don't you hear they hear those things. They are human beings. They also get angry. So it's just diplomatic enough. If I were the one to meet any of them, I say, well, I'm now representing the government. Social media is not our policy. So don't mind about insults, whatever thing goes on there. That's what I was addressing to it. And so it's just we have to learn a lot. And Paddy will know, perhaps agree with me, that if you have to meet an American politician to talk with them, they probably will not have more than 15 minutes to talk with you. They have a very limited period of time, at the most 30 minutes. And so we have to learn how to put our case. And we remember that one of the points we debated here about Tibor Nagy was when he put out a tweet. Resolution 1608 is a not. Remember that debate we had here. But before he put out that tweet, he had said something else before. He said he had been following this Anglophone thing. People come to the embassy or to the department where he was in Yaoundé, and they talk and talk and talk. I begin to wonder when they will end and go out. They continue to talk. What was he saying? Which I argued here. All that human rights thing, what Madam said, they are all what America is concerned with. But when you go as a diplomat from Ambazonia, where do you start is what is important. You start to say, oh, resolution 1608, you will not have made the impact. If you are going to talk to Marco Rubio, you know his greatest interest is democracy and human rights. Make those points, and then that will take it back to your 1608 for your limited 15 minutes or 20 minutes that you had with him. So I think that's the technique our own diplomats should use. Again, the State Department is there. What I know now, we should have always known, every government, every administration comes and makes its own policies. Right now, we don't know Donald Trump's African policy in this mandate. He has not put out one. But there are indications coming out. Before I came on this, I went to his inauguration site and I tried to click on the list of guests, those invited to attend the inauguration of Donald Trump. There is not even a single African head of state there, not one. Africa is completely left out. And people were making commentaries. They thought they would invite South Africa. They thought they would invite Kenya, because Biden liaised with Kenya about the Horn of Africa and so on. But a pointer, they have left out Africa. Of the 54 African countries, none is invited for his inauguration. So that may be a pointer to where he puts Africa in his foreign policy for 4 years. And so, as Gana said, we have to pick and choose. We must meet them. But when we meet them, what is the story? Where do we start? How do we tell our story? That's what we should be learning. As I said earlier, it is Tibor Nagy. He knows our story very, very well. He knows Resolution 1608. He knows 1514. He knows all those things. But it might not be him. So our diplomats have to do these skills of telling them what they... Because when you tell them a story that interests them, they might ask you questions that will take you beyond the 15 minutes that they program you for, or 30 minutes. So if you start, for example, again, with democracy, human rights, and then you end up by, why are we killing these people? What's all this happening to these people here? That will take it to 1608, how we got here. So that's all I think that we should be learning. All the stories, what Brother Gana said is all good. They might come. They might not come. They are very, very good things. It's possible we can have all those things. But it depends upon what skills we deploy in the field. The personnel will appoint to go and negotiate those things for us. Because they will do something. It's not going, the fact that they have not invited Africans for his inauguration does not mean that he will leave out Africa. No. Africa is going to be considered. But what is the policy? What, to the best of what I know, he doesn't want to come and fighting your wars for you. He doesn't like foreign wars. And so, if somebody is killing you, he tried to explain the reason why he's killing you. Then he might be sympathetic. I said, but why are you killing this man? We have 6,000 refugees, more than 1 million people displaced. That's worth sympathizing with. Then the guy who is listening to you asks, but why? With these pictures, if they were able to look at our genocide library, that would shock them. Why are they doing this? I'm not sure that Marco Rubio's parents went through that hardship in Cuba. And so I think that's my only little contribution. I might be wrong, but I think that's how our diplomats should look at the problem.
That's amazing. As we round up this topic with you, so we can move forward, Barrister Gana, I know you wouldn't necessarily want to double what some of them would have said. There's an aspect of Tibor Nagy's statement as you process the State Department that I think we have other cabinet members here. I know you people in the cabinet meeting yesterday. I'm not sure you want to get your I'm not sure you want to get your stuff public, but this is what happened. Very important that Tibor Nagy said. So I'm stopping expressing my personal views. My personal views. I repeat that. It's very important. I think as we're fighting to reclaim our land, we're also being educated as cabinet members, as government officials, the way we approach situations, especially in public forums, or how it impacts diplomacy and everything. So to show our maturity, I would expect that the comportment of Tibor Nagy, members of government, the Ambazonian government particularly, that is the leading instrument of this war, should learn something from this. As we're carving a way forward, he says, so I'm stopping expressing my personal views until my temporary position finishes. This is very telling. Tibor Nagy is not going to be talking what he thinks in his mind, but what government mandates him to do. So it's governance. What lessons do we have to draw from this, Barrister Gana, as we conclude on this topic? Talk to us, please.
Thanks again, comrade. One question that I would ask, or one assertion that I'm going to make when we say the United States State Department or Tibor Nagy is coming into the U.S. State Department, I want to ask two questions. If you look around the world, if you look at all the nations around the world, you want to ask yourself, which nation has the most powerful legislative body? It's the United States Senate or the United States House of Representatives. That or those two houses carry the heaviest weight around the world. In light of that, when we look at the executive branch of the United States government, which the State Department belongs to the executive branch of the United States government, I want us to understand the weight that the United States Department carries by naming about some 12 conflicts that have happened around the world over the past 40 years that have resulted in some form of resolution. And I want to ask, and as I name them, I just want our panel to think or to brainstorm, which of these conflicts have been resolved or have been brought to some degree of finality or conclusion without the heavy thumb of the United States being in the solution. Let me name these 12. Sudan, Namibia, East Timor, Yugoslavia, that's involving Croatia and all of those Balkan states, the Berlin Wall, Libya, Iraq, Rwanda, and the accession to power of Kagame there, Ukraine, Angola. Of all of these 12 conflicts, how many of them have been brought to some resolution or have had the direction of the conflict change without the heavy thumb of the United States? And what answer do I have? Zero. None of them. In each of these conflicts, the United States' heavy diplomatic thumb or military thumb or the weight of the State Department is what has been brought to bear to resolve these conflicts. Even in East Timor, it was the cover that the United States gave to Australia to go into the negotiations towards the resolution as a guarantor that ended up with the freedom of East Timor from Indonesia. So again, what weight does the United States carry in terms of does the State Department carry towards the resolution of our conflict as heavy can be? Again, that is why I'm going to piggyback to some thought that I made to say the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has to be strategic, has to be intentional, has to be purposeful, has to be premeditative. And I'm going to borrow a thought from Dr. Abiedu. They have to be competent. For the sake of all of our people who have died over the past 7 years, we should consider the past 7 years as having been a training ground, a foundation for us to execute over the next 3 years. So the federal government of Ambazonia has the task, and I'm putting it on the government of Ambazonia, has the task to liberate us, to bring this conflict towards finality in 3 years. And if they employ, as Dr. Patience Abiedu said, competency, that will be done. But towards competency, what tools or what else do we have to employ? We have to be selfless. What does it mean to be selfless? Again, it goes back to competency. We have to look for the people that can do the job, to empower them to do that job. If there are some people in the government who are not performing, who are punching below their belt, who are not capable, and we know people who are not capable, we cannot be nepotic. We cannot be patronizing of people who cannot take us forward. There has to be a cabinet reshuffle, and those people have to be out. We have to be sacrificial with our contributions, the little ones and the big ones. Speaking to some of the Ambazonians who are in our midst, who are millionaires, I just want to draw a little example here. If you look at the Rockefeller Foundation, and if some of those are not listening, if you hear this message, you can convey it to them. If you look at the Rockefeller Foundation, and you go back to the history of the United States for the past 70 years, and you realize that the foreign policy of the United States has been strategized or crafted by two main brilliant minds, Henry Kissinger and Brzezinski. Both of them are of late. But these were some two brilliant immigrants who escaped from Europe due to the Second World War. And when they came to the United States, the Rockefellers saw how intelligent they were, and they sponsored them, and they created non-profit organizations for them to run and create a vision or inform the vision of the United States. That is where the Trilateral Commission came from. That is where some of this, like Brookings Institute and all of this, that is where a lot of them come from. And coming to us, Ambazonia, we have to be our first line of strategy. We have to be our first line of defense here. Those who are wealthy in our midst, including those in Yaoundé who have a lot of money, who have even stolen a lot of money from the Cameroon government, they can find channels to sponsor our plight to independence. So we have to be selfless. We have to be competent. And each of us and every Ambazonian who is listening has to do what is in their capacity to advance our cause. Barrister Mbeseha and Barrister John Fru here will tell you that even within us, in the legal department, there are things that we are currently cooking in the background which we are not at liberty to discuss, that will advance the cause of Ambazonia. If you look at the ICC case that was filed, we worked for about 6 months, putting in a lot of time, strategizing, being intentional and purposeful, and working as one to advance that cause. So Ambazonians have to be united in their approach. We cannot have one group going into the State Department one day, and the next day another group coming to the State Department, and we are all presenting a disjointed position. Unity does not necessarily mean unanimity, but unity will help us deliver the punch that will enable the freedom of Ambazonia, that will enable us to regain our sovereignty in 3 short years. It is possible, it is doable, and if we are intentional, we will achieve it. Thank you.
That's amazing. There's just a lot for us to talk about, but we need to advance this conversation because we out of the three main topics of our conversation, we've just discussed one for over an hour right
Paddy,
now. Right?
Paddy, just give me,
Please,
Paddy, give
please,
me a second.
Please, by Mbeseha, please, by Mbeseha, we need to
Now, I know
make
what I want to
progress.
say.
If
I'm
you
not
must
coming back to what you're
progress,
saying.
it should not be more than 30 seconds.
It's not even going to be after that. I'm just saying, trying to say
Okay.
something because Barrister Gana has mentioned the ICC. I wanted to say something at the end, but since you have mentioned, let me just say
Okay.
it. I just wanted our
Okay.
followers to know that our case filed at the ICC is intact.
Yeah.
Any other person giving you any contrary information is a
A
distraction.
waste of time.
The case is there. Don't mind about any other distractions from left, right, or east. So our case is
Correct.
intact because people have called me, what is happening? I said, look, let people who follow us get this from today. Our
Yeah.
case, which was filed, is intact. It is being
Okay.
acted upon. Any other information is here, disregard it. Thank you. That's what I wanted us to say. Over to you.
Amazing. Right after this break.
Paddy, can you give me 1 second to just say something? I will not take, yeah, well, maybe more than a second. Since we're talking about Tibor Nagy, I think the best way to end this section would be to read one of his tweets. One of his
Yeah.
tweets that is very important. In one of
Go
his
right ahead.
tweets, he said that we all know how Southern Cameroonian crisis will end. Anglophones will gain their rights either in a genuine federation or a breakaway state. Whether weeks, months, years, or decades, it will come. Human spirit lions is indomitable. Cameroonian government should come to its senses. I just brought this up to say that this tweet is telling us that he knows where we are, he knows what we want, and it's up to
Yeah.
us, as Barrister Gana has said, to be forceful and determined to make it happen.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right after the break, we're going to continue with the Cho Ayaba case.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you.
Hello, Houston, Texas. This is Sinach, and I am excited that I have been invited to minister at the Shout Eid Abroad music concert taking place in Houston, Texas on the 7th of February 2025. It is going to be a time of worship, a time of praise, and I am looking forward to sharing my new music with you.
Everybody now, let's go.
The venue is at the Smart Financial Center, Sugarland, Texas. Make sure you pick up a ticket and bring your friends and your loved ones. It promises to be an amazing time in the presence of the Lord. I look forward to seeing you. God bless.
Victory is my name. My praise is strong, joy overflowing, more than a song. I'm celebrating in the midst of my enemies. I praise. I praise. You are here.
Okay, I'm sure you would have been seeing us having this publicity for a while right now. For those in the United States of America, particularly, you want to travel across the continent. This is going to be an epoch event. We think you should participate. If you have not gotten your tickets, the tickets are quite affordable, and the seats might just be getting short. If you waste your time by this weekend, you might not have a ticket. So make sure you are picking a ticket for this event. It's going to be a moment like never before. Get your ticket. If you're finding difficulties, there are numbers there that you can communicate. The publicity is everywhere in social media. If you can't find it, we might also help you to endeavor that you get it. So she has been invited for the inauguration. She's going to be there, probably performing, and we will be broadcasting the inauguration of Donald Trump from start to finish, starting even the ceremony that's already taking place there. I just would like to tell Ambazonians watching us to know that your government has been doing a lot of diplomacy in this regard. The president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikomesako, has also been officially invited to participate in the inauguration. We didn't think before now that we should make that public, but that's a reliable information. The president is there to participate. That's an amazing thing. So we want to talk about Cho Ayaba right now. Reports has it that his bail request has been denied. I'm bringing to us one of our journalists of Undaunted who has been covering this event. Tabitha, good evening. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, sir.
Good. I know that you have covered the story of Cho Ayaba. Do you want to talk to us, please?
All right. Good evening and welcome. I am Tabitha Ako. Ayaba Cho is still in jail. The verdict of Lucas Ayaba Cho in court today is finally made known. Lucas Ayaba Cho, a proxy of La République du Cameroon in the Ambazonian struggle, was arrested in September 2024 and placed in pretrial detention in Oslo. The authorities had his detention extended on January 14, 2025. The Norwegian judicial authorities had issued a detention order. Taking a look on his initial detention order, which was to expire on November 19th, the court ruled that he still posed a serious threat to society and could not be released on bail. On an in-depth analysis, Lucas Ayaba Cho was accused of incitement crimes against humanity in connection with his role as head of the Ambazonian Defense Forces for several years. This armed group has been involved in extreme violence, including kidnappings and targeted assassinations in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. According to several reports, the Ambazonian Defense Forces, under the direction of Lucas Ayaba Cho, has orchestrated actions aimed at disrupting civilian life, notably by preventing access to education through the forced closure of schools. Let's see the view of Prosecutor Annette Bedger, who justified the extension of the detention with the view that there would be risks of evidence tampering if the separatist leaders were to be released. This argument weighed heavily in the court's decision, which deemed that a release on bail would be premature and potentially dangerous. The NGO Human Rights Watch, which has closely followed the development of this case, also accuses Lucas Ayaba Cho of organizing and directing the activities of the Ambazonian Defense Forces from Norway. Several witnesses could be called to testify in different countries to strengthen the case against him. All right, handing it over to Paddy King, our news director.
Thank you, Tabitha, for that. That's quite instrumental. You're welcome to Undaunted. We hope you're going to have a great time with us as you process the news. I want to bring the panelists now to make an analysis of this situation. I'm a little bit worried on certain things. Barrister Gana, Barrister Fru, Barrister Mbeseha, and Dr. Patience. It's true, the report on Cho Ayaba. But my concern, as we look on this case very closely, is that Norway can arrest Cho Ayaba for alleged crimes against humanity, but Biya is being shielded or is protected by Swizerland. He virtually lives in Swizerland. He has his own house, his own hotel, according to his own hotel. He has his own private personal hospital. And it's just a lot of injustice out there. I know that's why I was suspending the ICC, because this is going to be time when we'll look at the ICC and the way they handle situations, and the fact that Biya's case is currently at the top page of the ICC. But this is a situation. I want to begin with you, Barrister Gana. You were chair of Momo, and currently you are in Mogamo, where ATF had a hub to do a lot of the crimes. You have witnessed situations where fighters loyal to Cho Ayaba have slaughtered civilians, women, raped, killed. We saw a sad situation last year where they took responsibility for actually gunning two men in front of their women and children in the Guzan Market Square. So much is happening. You've read this case. I'm sure all the barristers would have also read it. Cho Ayaba has been denied bail, meaning there's a lot of evidence, not just what we see on the screen, that they have before them, and they feel that releasing him at this time is a risk. I just want to be what the Frenchman calls avocat de diable. Let's look at Cho Ayaba as a freedom fighter fighting desperately to free his people, but in that effort would have become his own demon. Do you think there's any bias in the fact that no Cameroonian authority, Biya, has beheaded children on camera? Fighters loyal to Biya has beheaded Sam Sawyer in front of his wife and children. Biya has done a lot of things, and there's not been any intentional move until the recent ICC case. And this is Cho Ayaba, who took responsibility and is now bearing the consequences. It's a complex thing to look at. It is very complex. And I really would like you to begin this conversation, Vice Gana.
Thanks, Comrade Paddy, for giving me the honor to start this conversation. I'm going to begin this conversation with a comical throwback in history, going back to the French Revolution that happened between 1749 and 1799. But coming a little bit down to 1769, when they were guillotining the nobles and the aristocracy in France. And this was happening at the Bastille. And the nobles and the aristocracy, they had a chamber where they were waiting for the guillotiners to come take them to go guillotining them. And every time these revolutionaries would come to take one of the nobles to have them guillotined, they were sweating profusely and being anxious, as if they just wanted to get it over with. And the guillotiners would always tell the nobles and the aristocrats, "Be patient, my lord. Your turn is coming." So if you look at all of this, all of those within the Cameroonian government who the long arm of the ICC's reach has not touched them, as lawyers who filed that case, we know exactly whose name is on that list. There are over 100 people's names on that list, and more that the ICC is going to discover. So the fact that Cho Ayaba has been picked up, and again, just to remind you, we did not put Cho Ayaba's name on that list. We knew he deserved to be on the ICC's list, but we did not want to give his followers propaganda to think that something we of the federal government of Ambazonia did led to the arrest of Cho Ayaba. Cho Ayaba has made a lot of pronouncements by himself where he wrapped that loop around his neck. Now, coming back to Cho Ayaba and how long he might be in jail or the possibility of him being found guilty. See, in law, there are different types of evidence because the body of evidence is in law is a big subject on its own. In fact, in law school, the evidence is taught as a subject on its own. And if you look at the kind of evidence that they are looking for on Cho Ayaba, they are looking for evidence that is direct. They are looking for evidence that is indirect. They are looking for evidence that is circumstantial. They are looking for evidence that does not serve any purpose but for serving the purpose of proving his guilt. They are looking for evidence that is physical. They are looking for oral statements that he made. They are looking for corroborative evidence. That is evidence to corroborate things that he is said to have done. They are looking for what we call in law excited utterances. And what are excited utterances? Excited utterances are things that you make in the heat or in the passion of the moment without premeditation. So there's a lot of each of these bodies of evidence out there that will implicate Mr. Cho Ayaba. Again, if you look at the Guzang massacre that happened where the a brother of the Fon and another relative were executed in the Guzang Market Square, that is direct, uncontroverted evidence in and of itself. But what corroborates that evidence are Cho Ayaba's own pronouncements, where he came and applauded the ADF, his group, to have carried out that attack under his instructions and promising more to happen. So in terms of the evidence that is available to the Norwegian authorities, it is rock solid and airtight, and I can see why they did not release Mr. Cho Ayaba. The other thing you said, Paddy, that I just want to comment on briefly, is that you described Mr. Cho Ayaba as a revolutionary fighter fighting for his people. I want us to negate that assertion that Cho Ayaba is a revolutionary fighter, because he was not. Cho Ayaba is an egomaniac, a self-centered brute, somebody who was seeking for power, not to use that power to liberate his own people, but to use that power to advance his own self-interest. So let's stop calling Cho Ayaba a revolutionary, for by all means and by all definitions, he was not. Thank you.
Wonderful. By all means, he wasn't. That's quite amazing. But we've seen the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia shown leadership. He has officially made statements publicly during 2 separate addresses. Twice, he has notified that that Cho Ayaba is originally an Ambazonian and probably has a Norwegian or German nationality, whichever. And Cameroon government must not interfere or politicize it. During the end of year address, the president again, the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Komesako, said, justice delayed is justice denied. He was referring to the case of Cho Ayaba. So by any means, whatever crime he would have committed, we've seen a true leader of the people of Ambazonia, the president of the good, the bad, and the ugly of Ambazonia, actually lending his voice on this issue. And this is where I bring you now, Dr. Patience, to talk to us. This whole thing, we've witnessed it, we've cried, we've seen situations where Cho has done it, and everybody has been angry. This is the outcome of it right now. He has been denied bail. From the comments coming from the court, it shows the matter is even more complicated than we would have perceived at a surface level. Talk to us, Dr. Patience. Dr. Patience, can you hear me? Okay, she's frozen. Just so I'm going to talk with her to consult that. Maybe I should take it with you, Barrister Fru, so I can call her to find out what's happening with her connectivity. Barrister Fru, please.
Yes, thank you, Paddy. Cho Ayaba was no revolutionary leader. Cho Ayaba was a proxy fighter for the enemy fighting the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, and that is La République du Cameroon. He purposefully aligned himself with La République du Cameroon by contract, either written or oral, doesn't make any difference. His actions actually showed that he was on a mission to eliminate the freedom fighters and the population of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. That is why I find it very difficult to believe that this guy is an Ambazonian. Now, he has been refused bail, and it is in order. Why? Because for 2.5 years, the Norwegian police have invested a lot to investigate this guy, Cho Ayaba. And they have rock solid evidence, as my colleague Barrister Gana has just said. And in order to prosecute this man properly, he is not allowed to tamper with that evidence, because he's capable of using his means, because arguably Cho Ayaba has a lot of means provided by La République du Cameroon. to tamper with evidence. Neither does Norway want any communication between Cho Ayaba and La Republic of Cameroon or anybody else that will influence or tamper with the evidence. And that is a very important reason for not releasing anybody on bail. If the prosecution knows that you are capable of tampering with evidence, they will isolate you and let you stay in jail. And I want to say, if anybody believes that the Norwegian courts or the judicial system does not have enough evidence, the prosecution does not have enough evidence to prosecute this guy, think again. Because if they didn't have evidence, Cho Ayaba would not be in jail. That's a European country. That is a country that follows the law to the letter. The rule of law is the cardinal force of the prosecution in the Western world. Cho Ayaba, his crimes are well documented. Not only from him, he self-incriminated himself a lot by his texts, by his emails, by his pronouncements, by everything that he did throughout these 8 years in the civil war or the war that La Republique unleashed on the southern Cameroons. Cho Ayaba has a lot of baggage to unpack. The kidnappings, the extrajudicial executions, and the making of money and the acquisition of power from the enemy has made this guy the most dangerous human being on the face of the earth and cannot be released by any serious judicial system until he is tried and the truth comes out. Therefore, I'm not surprised that that Norway refused him bail. So I, as a lawyer, I don't have much to say about anything involving politics that has to do with the prosecution of this guy. One thing I want to say, that I am suspecting also that war crimes and crimes against humanity are generally not bailable offenses. It is very difficult to put anybody out there on bail who is involved in crimes against humanity. Not only in the ICC, but in most prosecutions around the world. Who are, of course, they have a universal jurisdiction, and that is why Norway has been able to prosecute him on that particular crime, because it is figuring on their penal code and in their procedural code. So I wouldn't say more than that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Finally, Dr. Patience has managed to. But before she sorts herself to take her turn, I want to get to you, Barrister Mbeseha. You have been through this from the very beginning with Undaunted for a long time. You have particularly been very concerned with everything Cho Ayaba is doing. I like when you comment on it, because you come with details of not just what Cho is saying, what his proxies are saying, what his employees. This guy, I call him a psychiatric patient, Lucas Asu, who was bold. See, I saw this when I was talking to Barrister Gana a few days ago, and I said, this is a man that had a very big ego. To prove strength, he came and made utterances publicly that you can never ever, any way in the world, free yourself when you have videos with you actually instructing that women be killed. You actually taking responsibility when a man is beheaded on camera. Only the ISIS does that. It's appalling, Barrister Mbeseha. I don't know how to cue you in because there's so much I know you have to say about it. I just pray that you'll be able to summarize. Please talk to us.
Yeah, I will try as far as I can. But this is the point with Cho Ayaba. You know, as Barrister Nsoh says, and Barrister Gana, we filed a complaint at the ICC. Cho Ayaba was not listed as one of the suspects. But that's important. But Norway and most countries, every single member of the modern countries around the world is a member of the United Nations. War crimes, genocide, they are all grouped and called human rights violations. It is under the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. And different countries can prosecute those things in their own right. Some countries, like Barrister Nsoh says, assume universal jurisdiction. How did we get the evidence? If I got the story well, even in Norway, Oslo, as of late as last week, when this man was being denied bail, there were human rights groups there saying that we have a box of evidence here against this man. They are not Ambazonians. And so when you do those things in Batibo, in the BLM, in Kwakwa, and think you are going free, there are people who are recording those things that you are doing. People who are not Cameroonians in the first place. They're not Ambazonians, but they have a close record of what is going on. If you watched the torture convention hearing against Cameroon 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, in Geneva, well, people who stood there with the files prosecuting Yaoundé for the torture that they have been doing around Cameroon, and most importantly in Ambazonia, were not Cameroonians. They were human rights groups. And so there's no way you can escape with those things. Again, as Barrister Nsoh says, Norway has assumed universal jurisdiction wherever you commit those crimes. If you find yourself on Norwegian soil, they have the right to prosecute you. That is why he's being prosecuted. They may not even need you and me as witnesses. There's enough evidence to prosecute him. And that will take me back to, again, the ICC I just said a few minutes ago. A few days ago, I saw Dr. Matsanga claiming that he's going to liberate Cho Ayaba because he's a German citizen. The Norwegians have no right to arrest him. I just saw that and laughed and said, well, there are so many lawyers, especially those people on social media. And so we didn't need to decide ourselves just because he said that, among other things concerning our ICC case, where he claimed that there's no case there, the case has been dismissed. I just gave it a joke. And so, as I said earlier, we have decided never to reply to those things. And so Cho Ayaba is there. We have always had, when we had the opportunity on this ABC, we have told our own people, our own fighters, to know that when the ICC comes, but in the absence of the ICC, if you land in any of those countries with universal jurisdiction, they will prosecute you. They will not say you because you did those things as an Ambazonian. Now, I don't care whether Cho Ayaba was a great fighter, a liberation movement leader. That is not important. Because even the fighters, liberation movements, the trade union ones, they are governed by the laws of war. And so no matter what position you hold there, whatever claim you have, if you violate the laws against the laws of war, you'll be prosecuted. Your strength, your importance in your group is not important. And so whether he was a great fighter, he was never a great fighter, if you violate the law, it is a question of time. The law is coming for you. Again, we did not file any complaint against him. But the president said, justice delayed is justice denied. That's our right to say that. I'm not sure that we can influence the Norwegian legal system to release him now or tomorrow or never. And your question was, why is Cho Ayaba being prosecuted while Biya takes his freedom in Switzerland all the time? To the best of my knowledge, Switzerland has not taken up the universal jurisdiction to prosecute war criminals. To the best of my knowledge, Norway has done, and we did file one there. When we filed at the ICC, we filed one in Norway for them to assume universal jurisdiction. Have they assumed it? I don't know. Maybe they read our file and looked at Cameroon and were able to take something out of it. But for the record, we had filed a complaint on human rights violations, genocide, war crimes in Oslo for those who have done us harm. It's possible that they don't throw that thing, whatever thing the human rights groups are reporting. They corroborated with that and prosecuted him. And they are prosecuting him. Whether he wins or not, it's a different story. No bond is above the law, as I've said. Even us, the complainants, if we are found to be committing the same crimes, we shall be prosecuted by the ICC or any international jurisdiction. That's just the rule. And to end that, I will remind us, you know that the ICC, for example, was in the Côte d'Ivoire. They were brought to the Côte d'Ivoire by Laurent Gbagbo as the president. They invited them because they are not yet parties to the court. But they invited the ICC to come and investigate in their own mind Guillaume Soro and the rebels. But guess what? Who was prosecuted there? Mr. Gbagbo himself. Even though he was the head of state, he wanted the people to be prosecuted. He was the one prosecuted. Whether he won the case or not is not what is important. Is that human rights, they look left and right. Prosecution does not mean conviction. You stand trial, justify what you were doing. If you can convince the court, you walk free. If you cannot convince the court, you go to jail. And so I'm trying to say this to say that even our own fighters and ourselves sitting right here, because you can do it by incitement, you can do it in different forms. We are guided by those rules. That's why the speeches we make here are very important. We remember 2-3 months ago, we ran a program here where Sama was saying something publicly. Go and kill everybody, even including pregnant women. We remember that program.
Yes.
Incitement.
That's incitement.
War crimes and crimes against humanity. And so, though Sama lives in Belgium, he's not fighting in Bamenda, but he was telling people of his group, Cho Ayaba's group, kill even pregnant women. That's incitement. So we're sitting here and talking. We can be punished by the same courts if we incite war crimes, if we incite crimes against humanity. So we wish Cho Ayaba good luck. Let him defend himself. We're not prosecutors there, but his indictment, his continuous detention and being denied of bail is a warning sign that the future is not very bright for him and for people like him. Over to you.
Yeah, before we even continue, a moment ago I told you that the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has been invited to participate in the inauguration. So before, Tibor Nagy is already addressing the trolls that are watching me now, especially on Facebook and on YouTube, looking forward to make sure that it's not true. And you said, Paddy King said so. So the Secretary of State for Communications and IT, the spokesman of Ambazonia, has officially announced it. And I'll read his own words. So there's now Paddy King is free from this information. The President Sako has been invited by the office of the Vice President to the Trump inauguration event that started today, Sunday. So as we speak, the President is currently there right now. I hope he will be able to send us images, but he has indicated, this is direct communication, he has indicated he wants to be low profile. He's there right now. After this event, I'll be streaming the event on ABC for those watching somewhere in the world too. This today, January 19, at the Capitol 601 Avenue Foot, about an hour and 15 minutes ago. The doors were opened at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So President Sako is actually there with all dignitaries invited from all around the world. That's good news. So we're not distracted. We may come back to that. I will give now the mic to you, Dr. Patience. We have cried on Cho Ayaba a couple of times, and this is where I wanted you to come from a perspective of a mother who, using your own platform, your own show, we've talked about this a couple of times. This is Cho Ayaba, denied bail. But I want us to look at it from a very fair perspective of all those accused of alleged crimes against humanity in Ambazonia. Cho Ayaba is just one of them. The president, during his end of year address, was requesting that there should be fair trial, and that trial delay is by default denied. What do you have to say from a standpoint of a cabinet member, a standpoint of an Ambazonian mother, and a standpoint of an Ambazonian woman?
Thank you so much, and I apologize that I was kicked out momentarily. I want to first say that I do not. I would not say that I wish Cho Ayaba the best, like our able barrister just said when he concluded speaking. I will not say that I wish him the best, because I know for a fact that he's guilty of those crimes. And somebody can ask me that, how do you know for a fact that he's guilty? I have been in communication with somebody who has directly been involved with him, and know for a fact that he is instrumental in these crimes of kidnapping for ransom. And because of that one activity, kidnapping for ransom, Cho Ayaba has single-handedly made our quest for international recognition termed terrorist organization because of that one activity. Speaking as a mother, speaking as a woman, I have always been so upset learning of all the atrocities committed by this one single individual. And I am glad Barrister Gana mentioned that he's not a revolutionary fighter. He is a terrorist. All the things that he has done to set us back. Just think about all those lives that have been lost, those young souls that have been killed. Those are our sons in Guzan and other places, organized by this one individual. So I am happy he was arrested. Of course, he was in court and prove his innocence, if at all he's innocent. But from what I know, talking to someone who is closely associated with him, he has committed crimes against humanity. It's interesting that this arrest took place in September, and I read in the human right one write-up, and it says that, and I just want to read exactly what it says. This is the first time anyone from Norway has been arrested for crimes against humanity. This is the first time. So this is a deal. And incidentally, this took place about 2 months before the United Nations Community Against met in Geneva. We remember that in November, sometimes between November 11th and 15th, Cameroon was grilled. The ambassador was grilled on all these crimes that are committed against humanity, and some of the ones that affected Southern Cameroonians, Anglophones, or people from the Northwest and Southwest region was touched. I use their own appellation, were addressed. And it may be that that before this committee met, somebody had to be accountable. Of course, it is true that it may be one-sided, but Norway is acting as its own sovereign nation, arresting people in their nation that have committed. So really pray that is the beginning, because if Cho is found guilty in the same publication that they are also asking questions that what officials that have committed crimes against humanity, why have they not been arrested? So again, as you said, this conversation that it may be one-sided, but again, the fact that the truth doesn't run away. Eventually, all that has been involved in some crimes will be arrested and paid. And I'm really pleased that this is going on. If you give and punish to the fullest, I say that as without fear or favor, unapologetically, because he has really done a damage to our quest, and he should be for. I know they say don't accuse somebody of guilty until you're found guilty, but leave that guilty.
Wonderful. That's quite intriguing there, and I like the fact that you were very straight. We've cried as Ambazonians many times. We first of all saw Mr. Cho in 2018 trying to sell oil in London. There's so much about Cho, and I always said this over and over again. These are people I've known, and I always say, if it is not Cho Ayaba, that his mindset was, if it is not Cho Ayaba, it was not good for Ambazonia. To crown this conversation on Cho so that we can move forward.
Let me say one more thing, Paddy. Sorry.
Gana?
Let me say one more. Let me say one more thing. And it really it's frustrating that people Sissoko Ayutabe decide to form alliance with this individual, even knowing their history. I'm just bringing that point. And if people do
it's just a way of not accepting the fact that President Sako was a decent leader. That's why Sissoko Ayutabe would do that. It's unfortunate. I don't know what he's saying right now, but this is unfortunate. Go ahead, Dr. Patience.
Yeah, I was just making that point that if people knowing this individual, what they have done to this, that us defending the Republic, turning against our own people, if they know that, why would somebody think that they are the real leader support someone who has been really on the sides of Southern Cameroonians and Ambazonians? Because of alliance between Cho Ayaba and Sissoko Ayutabe, it makes me, for sure, that Sissoko Ayutabe is not a leader and should never be respected, because if you
should never be respected for doing things like that.
With dogs, yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Dr. Patience, on that. I want to come back to you, Barrister Gana. It's like Barrister Fru has a brief comment so that you can conclude on this subject. Gana, make your comment, please.
Yes, I left out the thing about Biya, whom you said was being shielded by Swizerland. Yes, I will not belabor what my colleague said. He is completely right. Swizerland is not a universal jurisdiction.
Okay.
And the ICC started investigation after Biya visited Switzerland. Let's watch and see, because Switzerland is a member of the United Nations, and is a member. I don't know whether they are members of the ICC, whether they signed the Rome Statute, they ratified the Rome Statute, such that if Mr. Biya comes back to Switzerland now, given that he is being investigated, will Switzerland still protect him? Yeah. Let's wait and see. So I just wanted to add that, to say that until he comes back to Switzerland now, after the investigation has been launched by the ICC, we cannot categorically say Switzerland is shielding him. Thank you.
Amazing. Mr. Gana, please.
Yeah, and again, as a son of Mogamo and somebody who was both the LGA chair and the county chair of Mogamo when a lot of this were happening, I just want to highlight some of the things that Cho Ayaba did in Mogamo. Some of the places where he did some of these gruesome murders included in Ashong, in Iwai, in Iwen, in Guzang, in Batibo, in Tiben, in Numben, in Bonjek, in Muwa, in Bessie, and in a lot of other places in Mogamo. So while La Republique was throwing a baby in Kendem into a cauldron of boiling oil, Cho Ayaba was conducting gruesome murders in Ambazonia, such as the brutal slaughter of Florence Ayafo. While La Republique was killing school children in Kumba and killing somebody as Mami Api, Cho Ayaba was conducting similar brutal murders in Mogamo, such as burying fighters alive as Biya, killing people like Tiger, killing people like General Chacha, Ivomba, causing mayhem in Iwai and its fondom, causing the death of the prince of those fondoms there, forcing Mogamoans to pay taxes to ADF, taxes that were used to fund activities to further oppress the people of Mogamo. Thank God, somebody who was Cho Ayaba's commander, henchman, as he used to say, Big Number was his general in Ambazonia. Big Number is directly related to kidnapping, such as the kidnapping of Maramundi. And thank God, partly because of events that we set on in Mogamo, most of Cho Ayaba's adherents, like Big Number, or as they called him, General Ifang, is dead. And people who were assistant adherents, like Sumanguru and a lot of others, have also been eliminated. So I just wanted to highlight some specific acts that were committed in Mogamo under Cho Ayaba's direct order. Thank you.
That's evidence added to the pile of evidence.
Well, I may just say that thank God that Capo Daniel survived. He's talking to us now.
He has not survived, though. He has not survived.
No, well, for now, he's telling the story. That's what I'm saying. He didn't die.
No. I'm saying that he could also be picked up by the ITC.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that
Mbeseha is saying
talking
that
to us now.
he's affirming these things. He was an active
that's what I'm saying.
participant.
Yes.
Now,
nobody found to go and testify, but Capo Daniel can testify.
He will not only be a witness, he will also be accused, because there is Ashu Lucas, there's Capo Daniel, and they are living in the Western world, and Norway can ask for extradition of those two.
I just saw that they have included my country people as a witness.
Yeah. Somebody notified me about it.
Yeah, social media.
My country people.
That is social media. I don't know.
No. I just heard it. I don't know if it is social media, but I had an opportunity to send message to my country people that we have intelligence of him actually working for Cameroon, coercing fighters, killing some. That, in fact, every person that sent by Cameroon to recruit for the DDR is supposed to be in this file, because when they cannot recruit you by peacefully or coercing to corrupt you, they will kill you. So the guys have committed huge crimes against humanity, very terrible crimes. And this is not the case of this Cho Ayaba stuff that I want us to look again. There are those who believe that Lucas Asu, who also instigated some of these things, is in Canada. Capo Daniel, who did the same thing. Capo Daniel spoke during when they kidnapped Mundi. There are those who are thinking that the Canadian government can take action. And I bring this again to you, the lawyers. That's where we'll finalize this. The Canadian government can take action with this solid evidence Barrister Gana mentioned, because these are not individuals who are being accused. They were on camera accepting and affirming that they did it. So Is it active in law?
No, the problem is not that.
Do we
No, the
now
problem is
that
not they did
shows
not do
the
it.
case is
No, the problem
Yes,
is
please.
simply that
Let me begin with you, Barrister
those
Mbeseha.
people are not. They are not on Norwegian soil. It is stepful there, they might be charged, but as long as they're not there,
Exactly.
no, we're not going to extradite them from some other countries and bring them.
So the only method could be if government opts to arrest them, because they are all there. Like Kapodanya is there now for as a refugee.
The key is with Norwegian prosecution. If they want them, they can ask for extradition, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Let me weigh in
Yes.
on that a little bit. Yes, they are not on Norwegian soil, but as we have abundantly stated, Norway accepts universal jurisdiction. So if there's another
Just like
country
Canada.
like Canada that accepts universal jurisdiction, and Canada does, because Canada was one of the countries that we filed the ICC case with. We filed that case in about 12 jurisdiction, 12 countries that accept ICC jurisdiction. If Canada does, which it does, Norway can seek an extradition from Canada. If Canada does not want to extradite that individual to Norway, then Canada can elect to try that individual in Canada under universal jurisdiction. And there is a precedent to this. Remember, when a case was filed against Hissène Habré in Europe because of the crimes that Hissène Habré committed in Chad, when they had this whole conflict going on between Hissène Habré and Guguni Wede, and also when Hissène Habré was a rebel, he did abduct some French citizens. And so they filed a case against Hissène Habré, but at this time, Hissène Habré had been deposed from power, and Hissène Habré was resident in Senegal. Now, Senegal did not want to extradite Hissène Habré to Europe, but Senegal accepts ICC jurisdiction and universal jurisdiction. So Senegal decided to try Hissène Habré in Senegal. So that precedent can apply to all of the other ADF cohorts around the world.
Correct.
Perfectly correct. But the other difference is that Hissène Habré, the complaint was filed against him in Belgium by some Chaldeans who had fled to Belgium. So they were resident in Belgium. Belgium assumed universal jurisdiction and indicted Hissène Habré. And as Shirley said, he was in Senegal. Belgium sought extradition. Senegal said, well, I don't know what to do. They turned to the OAU, the African Union. Say, wait, disgrace for us to send away a head of state. They said, okay, let us try him here. They created a court and tried him. Important thing, if Norway were acting on our application and indicted Cho Ayaba, they could bring him as a co-defendant right there. And if he refuses to come, wherever Kapodanya is found, as Uriah said, in Canada, they can, if they have an extradition agreement, they will either send him there or they will try him there. Either way, there's no escape route where you commit war crimes.
Wow, that's amazing. There's so much that we've gone.
I have.
You want to say
Can
something?
I say this?
Yes, please.
Just very quickly.
Go ahead.
Cho Ayaba got into this position because some Southern Cameroonians or Cameroonians who live in Norway personally of Cho Ayaba. And because of that, they presented a case to the Norwegian judicial system. So there may have been many victims that are citizens of Norway that have been victims of Cho Ayaba, and they had to file cases over and over again, and eventually the government was forced to look into it. Possibility that what happened. I don't know if you guys have thought about that.
Yes, information.
I think Dr. Pesha
information.
Yeah, that's very good.
When I filed, when we filed our complaint in Norway, we elected one in Giman, what is his name again? Vance as the victim. Vance was contacted by Norway, and as soon as Vance became a coup plotter, he destroyed the file and walked away. Never showed up anymore.
I think all of your points are also good, but there's something very particular we might be missing. You have many United Nations human rights agencies like the UNHCR, the IRC, the Norwegian Refugee Council. These are all human rights agencies particularly looking at refugees. If you notice, for the past 3 years or 4 years now, the best human rights reports on the plight of our refugees has been done by the Norwegian Refugee Council. Even the International Refugee Council in New York,
that's true,
is solely dependent on the UNHCR that is fraudulently functioning right now in Nigeria. I work with refugees in Nigeria, so I'm giving accurate facts. You have officials of the UNHCR in Nigeria that are claiming that the Nigerian government is not permitting them even to register refugees. But the Norwegian Refugee Council was you go to their website, they are the first to have updated in their platform that we have more than 100,000 refugees. Whereas UNHCR on their platform stayed at 60,000. Later on, sometime last year in September, they went up to 86,000. But the Norwegian Refugee Council has gone to more than 100. And they even state in their report that that's not even all. So the Norwegian government and the human rights institution in Norway have been doing a better job. They're the ones that told the world that our case is highly underreported. So it is very clear that Norway has a very close view on our case, and they have some evidence that we might not even have. We have to move it ahead. Like I said to us,
let me just enrich what you just said about Norway. There's something about Norway that a lot of people do not understand. For example, Norway is not part of the EU. Norway is independent of EU. And one of the reasons why Norway has refused to join EU is because Norway in and of itself is very wealthy. In fact, Norway is one of the countries in Europe that has a sovereign wealth fund of about 1.something trillion dollars. And why is that? Because Norway is one country that is very rich in oil resources. And instead of Norway using that oil resources to fund programs and fund expenditures, it learned in the 1970s something they call the Norwegian disease, and it's a whole theory in economics that when you exploit natural resources, instead of spending those natural resources as the money comes in, put it in a sovereign wealth fund and cap the amount of expenditure that you have. And because of that, Norway has become a very rich and independent country in its decisions that it makes. So that gives you a little inkling onto why Norway can act so independently, aside from the European Union, in arresting somebody like Cho Ayaba and prosecuting him and participating in all of these updates you're talking about in a very objective and independent manner. Yeah.
Correct.
That's amazing. We have to move forward. Dr. Patience, you may want to check your internet again, because after the topic we're going to discuss now, we'll definitely be looking at this unfortunate situation of Eto'o made in Ntumfon by Third Class Fund. Of course.
Oh, God.
These guys are messing us very bigly. And he did that in Douala. So before we even get into that, I want us to watch the video. Why, Dr. Patience, you want to check your internet, because we're concluding this show with something that you're going to be talking more on, and which is the humanitarian effort you did in December, and the need for us to solicit more help on our humanitarian initiative. So let's break with this video.
Ntumfon somebody.
So, Ambazonians, the image you guys are seeing there is actually just a few days ago. The third class chief of Koshin is a village behind Womb, decided, I don't know by what parameters, and that these are some of the things we are going to discuss this evening, and made Eto'o one of their notables. These were things that our customs and traditions would bequeath to people that would have done that, first of all, have some certain value in the community. This is Samuel Eto'o, who has never ever taken any proactive step to address the humanitarian crisis. If they claim that we are part of them, why they are killing people in Ambazonia, in your own village, in Koshin, in Womb? Eto'o is pretentiously giving gift to Boko Haram up north, going to Victoria to pretend. So his Royal Highness, Wilson, Chief of Koshin, is a third class phone. It's important for me to chief. It's important for me to say that. Who lives in Douala? He didn't do that in his village. He made a ceremony with Eto'o's picture and the Cameroon green, red, yellow, one star flag. And what this man was doing, I've lost all respect, was to bequeath to Eto'o the prestigious title of Ntumfon. Who is Ntumfon? The elders here will be telling us what that means, what this signifies. But I see it from a standpoint of an assault to our customs and traditions as a people. That is what I think. And I hold that opinion with no apology. I see it as a colonial master. This is something that's done close to the shrine of the village, where the people in the village go together to fellowship with what they call their gods. It's a traditional event that cannot be taking place in a foreign country, or let's say foreign land. If this was authentic, if it was genuine, we expected that it should have taken place at least in Ambazonia. So Mr. Wilson, probably out of hunger, gave to Eto'o a right to do something, what I call a defiance of our cultures and tradition. And here we are. Eto'o is Ntumfon. Is Ntumfon. If I was Bo Herbert, I will immediately protest by turning down my title of a Ntumfon, because Bo Herbert is a respected person in his homeland, and he was not bequeathed Ntumfon because of a fraudulent activity. He was bequeathed Ntumfon because he did some great works for his people. We've seen Bo Herbert being concerned with what is happening to his people, even at the time of. Bo Herbert is an internationally recognized journalist. Bo Herbert had the capacity to be a spokesperson. Bo Herbert is one of the best journalists that the Cameroon radio and television has ever had. He's somebody in the field of journalism I will forever respect Bo Herbert. If Bo Herbert wanted to stand with the Cameroon government like the Peter Esoka and the others are doing today, he would have been a correspondent at the presidency, and he will speak an even better grammar than the Ashu Nyenti. But this, he has chosen a path. We may not agree in our political perspective vis-a-vis the Ambazonian struggle 100%, but this is a man that he has a right to be called Ntumfon in Ambazonia. Why? For what reason can Samuel Eto'o be Ntumfon is what amazes me. I'm giving the mic first to you, Barrister Gana, because you're going to be leaving in less than 10 minutes. This is disgraceful. This is an insult and an assault to our secrecy as the people of Ambazonia. Please talk to us.
Paddy, there's something you've said that I think it's very difficult to comment beyond what you've said. And it's a very short phrase that you said. You said, out of hunger, out of hunger. There is something in the Pidgin language that is very difficult to translate that thing into the English language. It is called langa. Langa is one of the greatest pathways to doing things as despicable as this. You say that Eto'o goes to Limbe, he goes and he pretends. Eto'o is a one Cameroon adherent. Eto'o is somebody who does not even recognize the rights of Ambazonians. Eto'o, I mean, he's a great soccer star. Give him that. He's somebody who's come back to Cameroon. He set up a sports academy in Libreville there. Give him that. But when it comes to Ambazonia, Eto'o is neither here nor there. He's not for our rights. So this is just, again, I'm just going to go back to your word, out of hunger, or as we call it in Pidgin, something done out of langa. And in terms of our struggle, it's neither here nor there, because it will not dent our struggle one bit. Our focus is regaining our sovereignty, and whether they take 10 wives from that village and give to Eto'o as in Ntumfon, that is the langa business between Eto'o and that sub-chief, that class for sub-chief, but it doesn't dent our path or our efforts in our struggle one bit. And again, just to mention, every time I see that tricolor flag with one star, every time I see that flag, it's sort of irritating that we Ambazonians, who do not have any business doing to subject ourselves to that flag, do subject ourselves to that flag. We do not even, those do not even have the courage to say, if you're going to reflect some flag of Cameroon, at least have the 2 stars. But they've thrown away any apparition of our rights. They've thrown away our history, and all they are doing is acting out of hunger. So I'll let our elders, as you said, who have more gravitas than I do in understanding our culture, comment on that. So thank you.
Nigerians call it long throat. It's unfortunate how you can say your birthright with a plate of soup. That ceremony was more political than it was traditional, because a certain individual was also invited and also made a Ntumfon to neutralize the debate, and this one was a British. And then now they indirectly spoke about Anglophone problem. We'll get to that. I wish I have you longer, Barrister Gana, but like you have indicated, you have to go. So I want to liberate you. Unless you have a very brief comment to make.
And again, Paddy, the only reason that I have to leave is because of the emergency of a family member. So,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a beautiful a very, very beautiful weekend and enjoy yourself.
Thank
It's
you.
been very enriching
Thanks.
and educating having you on the
Thank
platform.
you.
So, Dr. Patience, I definitely should be bringing you now before the gentlemen to talk on this issue. It's quite frustrating. It's anger provoking that Eto'o feast in a politically organized traditional event that should be in the village of Goshen, but in Douala is now Ntumfon. What does this have to say? What is the message? Who are they provoking? What culture are they defying? Please talk to us.
Okay, I think this is political, as Barrister Gana has said. Let's remember back that several years ago, Biya was made fond of funds for the whole Cameroon and Ambazonia. He was made fond of funds. So this individual being given this title is just to neutralize our quest, is just to make that assertion that there's normalcy, because if you can be celebrating people being given titles in this nature, then there's some sort of normalcy in the region, that we are welcoming people that are from a different part of the world, because La Republique is essentially a neighboring country, where we are welcoming them into our own culture, making them, giving them titles, embracing them. Therefore, we are one. We are one people. I think that is just the underlying tone of this ceremony, of this event, to give the the semblance that things have come back to normal, and that there's nothing like Southern Cameroonians or Ambazonians, and that in terms of culture, everything is diluted and we cannot go back to that basic what we had in a long time ago, when we have chiefs that we respected in the villages. In fact, when we were growing up, if a chief is coming, when people will go to the side of the street and show all that respect. Everything is being watered down by things like this, and it's just political. That's how I see it. Maybe my two colleagues, senior barristers here, will see differently. Thank you so much.
You see, I'm coming back with the barristers because for 2 years now, 2 years since we started Ambazonia this week, I have been traveling with the barristers with discussions like this, on many different accounts. We've had the chance to talk on issues relating to this. We have spoken on chiefs betraying and acting as auxiliaries of the colonial administration. But it's a typical case that revokes a debate that we've suspended. The vice president, in my opinion, the vice president, Mr. Eric Ate, in my opinion, is the best Ambazonian that has defined silently the future of what we call the chiefdoms today. He has gone back in the world of history to bring to the face of Ambazonians the evolution that has taken place in Europe, particularly that had kings. It came to a point where the people saw that the kingdoms within the Europe were not serving the purpose of the people. And the people were bold enough to challenge it, to restructure it. Even England had to reduce the power of their kingdom so that democracy can effectively function. Here we still have people, maybe in Boy, in other parts, that feel that the phone to them is just somebody that is untouchable. We cannot continue like this with funds and chiefs. It was Angwafo. In the Saudi zone, it was Mukete. Now it is a Tekas fund insulting us so badly. Even if you had to do it, it should have been done in your village. Eto'o could have traveled with a band of bees. This was done in Douala. a reckless metropolitan state where there is no, this is a secret event. If anybody, a sacred event, that's the right English word. It is not a ceremony and a title that is given anyhow. The reasons around it, as we call it, long throat, greed. It's just so funny how we, the people of Ambazonia, are being insulted, and we are not thinking. I brought this argument and I want to invoke the argument again. I am thinking that these offices we're calling chiefdoms and fundom should be dissolved in our day or restructured. It cannot remain the way it is. Because while we are claiming that we want to preserve traditions, these funds are changing it. They are not even asking our opinion. They all have houses in Bululand right now. They are now being given medals by the president of La République du Cameroon. We need to look for a way to make their offices or these structures they have redundant. So, Barrister Fru, as I'm giving you the mic, that's my opinion. People can object to it. You are the elders here. You know the tradition.
Yes. Before we get into the heart of this discussion, I want to define what Ntumfon means.
Okay.
Ntumfon was never an important post in the palace. Ntumfon means the fund's messenger. The fund's messenger. If the fund wants to send a message to a notable in the village, like me, my name is Nchamukong, I'm a notable in Mankon. If this guy wants to send a message to me, he sends Ntumfon with an azan, some traditional thing made out of palm front, and comes to me and gives me that message. How has this post Ntumfon evolved? There is a history to it, because they have made it now so important that every idiot now bears Ntumfon. Let me start by telling you, there's a barrister in Douala called Barrister Nico Hale. He's a very well-known barrister in Douala. The funds of the Northwest Province, when I mean funds, that is, I'm just giving a totality of the traditional rulers in the Northwest who group themselves and call themselves Northwest Funds. They were meeting in Kwen and they didn't have a place to meet. And when they met in Kwen, they wanted to build a secretariat. Guess what? Ntumfon Nico Hale, who now calls himself Ntumfon Nico Hale. Nico Hale went there and bankrolled these funds 10 million francs. And they gave him this title, Ntumfon. You are now our messenger. And Nico Hale took it and revolutionized it and now calls himself Ntumfon Nico Hale. And that word Ntumfon has gone round now, is being bastardized by the so-called escapees. Those that have escaped during this war in Ambazonia, they escaped from the war because they were no longer relevant to their people. They escaped and abandoned their palaces, and they are living in La République du Cameroon, and they are using this word Ntumfon to give title to inconsequential people and collect money. That is the origin of Ntumfon. Now let me come to what has just happened in Douala. This man, this third-class chief of Kusin is in womb. He ran away from womb and took refuge in Douala. He has abandoned the throne in his native village called Kusin and has taken refuge in Douala. And that throne is now vacant because he lives in La République du Cameroon in Douala, and is bastardizing the title of Ntumfon to collect money from vulnerable people like Eto'o. Eto'o has so much money to share. So they have given, look at what is happening in Douala. La Republic of Cameroon has decided to whitewash our tradition. They started by making their football team that travels or whatever, take the Baminda Toko as their own tie, as their uniform when they travel, when they go to the World Cup, when they go to play football abroad, they wear it as if to claim that they are advertising the tradition of the Northwest people. They call it Northwest, but I call it the Graffiti people. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because look at Eto'o wearing a traditional toko from the northern zone of Ambazonia, given by an self-exilee fund of Cushion to collect money from this young man called Eto'o. That is it. La Republic has decided to whitewash our tradition to make it irrelevant, but they will not succeed. Why? In the northern zone, I will give you the categories of chiefs or funds. The first category is called the funds, and there are 5. Bale, Mankon, Bafut, Kom, and Nsoh. Out of these 5, 2 have abandoned their throne and they are living in La Republic of Cameroon, Yaoundé. You have the fund of Bali and the fund of Nsoh. During this crisis, the fund of Mankon has not left, the fund of Bafut has not left, and the fund of Kom has not left. That is it for the first class funds in the northern zone. The second group are the second class funds. Some of them have abandoned their throne because when there's too much heat in the kitchen, you have to go out. They abandon their throne and they are living in La Republic of Cameroon. Those are the hungry ones that do this kind of nonsense that we are seeing now being done in Douala. The third group is called, that's the last group of funds, the lowest group of chiefs according to the chieftaincy law in Cameroon is a third class chiefs. And this guy from Cushion is a third class chief. A poor, wretched man ran away from his palace that his father died and they put him there. He ran away and is living in Douala and is doing this to collect money. In the course of it, bastardizing the northern zone tradition. Like I am not going to support Paddy in his assertion that chieftaincy should be taken out for one reason only. In the southern Cameroon, you had 2 houses of assembly. You had the National Assembly and the House of Chiefs. We cannot abolish the House of Chiefs, because if you abolish the chieftaincy in Ambazonia, you have effectively abolished the House of Chiefs, which is an institution. But we will have to make sure that those who abandon their thrones don't come back. You don't come back to Ambazonia. You stay where you are, and we replace you with another Monto from that palace.
But it's I
hope you are getting me. In order to preserve the chieftaincy institution that was instituted by the Southern Cameroon government, and they gave it a whole house, the House of Chiefs.
But the way you are laughing, right? I cannot wait to hear what you want. Please stop.
I'm laughing because when we get emotional, we mean We'll get
Am I understood? Am I
No, no,
understood?
please stop. Go ahead, but
what
I
I
want
was
us to conclude.
what I'm trying to say is that when we get emotional, we miss what is important. We're talking on ABC, we're talking for Ambazonia, from Kambe to Victoria, from Mamfe to Womb. That's what we're addressing this issue. And so, like Mr. Nsoh said, and as the evidence shows, this guy calls himself the chief of Koshin. And the title he gives to whoever is called messenger. That's what Ntumfon means. That's a fact. But the most important thing for us to analyze is the reaction to see whether this guy was right to do it. There are 3 reactions so far on that thing. Some people who call themselves members of the House of Chiefs in the Northwest wrote out a document and signed. They call it a disclaimer. In other words, disclaimer of the term for whatever thing they call it disclaimer. They say, no, we have nothing to do with that Ntumfon. They wrote it and signed. The most important document came from the president of the Northwest House of Chiefs, who started in paragraph 1 by saying that only President Paul Biya is known as the fund of funds. They tell the story and go down. Okay. Important thing, the 3rd reaction came from the guy himself, the so-called the fund of Koshin. He wrote out something and raised important issues, which ought to be the ones we address. Now let us go to the Northwest House of Chiefs. He puts in his paragraph 1 that the only one that is recognized is President Paul Biya as the fund of funds. President Paul Biya is nobody in the Northwest. He's not in the royal family, nothing. How did he become the fund of funds? According to the Northwest House of Chiefs. How did he become? Simply put, they have started exporting that title funds to strangers. They exported it to certain Paul Biya. It's not the right. They sold it to him for benefit because they expect him to do something in return. Officially, that House of Chiefs or House of Funds or whatever they call it in Bamenda Northwest is supposed to be the highest political reigning institution of the chiefs or of the funds. And so you ask yourself the question, does this House of Funds or chiefs in the Northwest, does it have authority by their own decree of creation to regulate how titles, don't just call him title, because that guy Ntumfon is a title, he's not a fund. Does it have the authority as the House of Chiefs of the Northwest, as they call it now, to regulate how titles are distributed or sold or given in the Northwest? The answer is no. They don't have. And so why are they pounding on this poor young man? This young man's own reply asked this question. He asked whether there's any tradition in the Northwest that empowers another fund to restrict the other fund from giving titles to the people he chooses. He says no. And then, of course, he explains how the thing happened. According to him, Eto'o, who is his friend, was supposed to meet him in a traditional marriage. He was making a traditional marriage somewhere in Douala. So he's his friend, he's supposed to do him this as his personal friend. Then at the end of this document, he signs his document, puts his name there, and interestingly, puts, I don't know, he works in Douala, he must have a good job. He writes under it, Diplômé de l'ENAM. So he's a graduate of ENAM who could become the governor of the Northwest tomorrow and will rule all those funds and chiefs. And so the tradition is not being desecrated by Paul Biya. Our people are desecrating this tradition by themselves. I'm sure Paul Biya did not ask anybody in the Northwest, let us call it Northwest, to make him fund of funds. They sat down, connived, to make him one because they expected something in return. The same thing is duplicating itself in the so-called Southwest. In the whole Southwest, as the brother said, there are less than first class. They call them funds over there, but the law classifies them first class, second class, third class. The first class are the ones that include these funds. In the whole North, Southwest, I think there are less than 4. My own village, the fund from them, is one of them. And then there's the fund of Bamumbo. There's for Mokete. And in there, I think. Okay. So this classification put by the government purposely essentially to pay them. Because if you are in the first class, you have more money. If you're sitting in the palace. If you're in the second class, you have less. If you are performing the functions. If you're in the third class, like that guy in Inam, I'm sure that he's not even receiving the pay of the chief. Because for you to receive the pay, you must be exclusively living in the village and performing those functions. If you have a government office, if you are a government worker, like he signs himself, diplômé de l'ENAM, means he has a salary. He's not even being paid. And so the central question we should be asking ourselves, has our tradition gone down to this level? And then, who regulates the making and unmaking of title holders and funds and chiefs and so on and so forth? The West Cameroon House of Chiefs did not comprise only funds of first-class chiefs. In fact, at the time of the West Cameroon House of Chiefs, there was nothing like first-class, second-class, third-class man. There was nothing like that. These things, the core funds, were classified by the colonial master based on the population they had, because they were collecting taxes, based on the strength of the area they had. So you were given this responsibility. But you were a traditional ruler. Is there any text in Cameroon where they claim to belong that governs traditional rulership? No law. The only law they have is 1976, 1977, classifying people. They don't know the tradition of the meta man to the extent that today, somebody who's in the third class means that he's under a second class. A second class means that he's supposed to be under a first class. Yes. And so who regulates it? If if the father man can decide to make you a quarter here and call you and give you second class, does the father man also have the power to come and say no? Okay, you don't have the power.
Yeah.
So again,
unfortunately, no fund has the right to do that.
Yeah,
follow the chieftaincy law. There's a chieftaincy law.
And then I said, the people in the House of Chiefs, in the Southwest, in the West Cameroon House of Assembly, they were not only first-class chiefs, but they were chiefs elected by their peers.
Yes.
Chiefs first-class, third class in a given area, they were told to produce one of them to go to the house.
Yeah.
And they chose one of them. If that one was a third class, that's not important. If it was first class, it's not important. He went to the House of Chiefs. So I think, as far as we are concerned, as the government of Ambazonia, hopefully when we get to Cameroon, when we get to home front and set feet at home and create a government there, we shall handle tradition and culture very differently. It will not be based on somebody signing a decree over there and saying that this one have you can go and buy the decree. Even right now, the whole thing is a mess because the chiefs are officially under the duos who rule them as they want. In fact, they even overthrow them.
The point is,
by extension, if you just say what happened, let me learn.
Okay,
let me learn. By extension, if you saw what happened in Limbe, called the slave village, where the chief was speaking there with some authority, and then you hear the explanations we were given from Yaoundé. Oh, just coming to devour the thing. And then you hear that they had gone and bargained for some traditional thing in Douala and Yaoundé to become UNESCO culturally protected institutions. This guy coming to Limbe, where the poor man in Limbe called himself chief, was just saying I should have been consulted. They have sold it out to him to make it a private development project for him. And then it is the government coming to sign a memorandum of understanding, ignoring that guy who is even complaining there, who is supposed to be the chief. And in fact, the custodian of that place. So our chieftaincy is a mess. Why? Because Yaoundé has interfered to extend that it has become a money-making institution. You will, unfortunately, if your chief dies with 3, 4, 5, 6 children, everybody will want to buy that position, not through the kingmakers. They buy the position through the deal. And the senior division officer.
Just to add, Barrister Mbeseha, we have really exceeded our time. I want us to get into the last phase of this conversation.
All right. That's my contribution, sir.
I'm sorry I have to interrupt you, but I'll
that's okay. I'm even tired of it. I'm so late. It's so late here over here.
I know where you are. I hope you're coming back to the United States soon. So this is the point. This is the point we're making here. The truth is that change is the only thing I know that is very constant. Whether we agree or not, changes are taking place before us. For instance, where I'm coming from, the chieftaincy has been so defined that you cannot even determine who is going to be the next chief when another chief dies. So we better accept the fact that even if we change it intentionally or consciously, there will be a change unconsciously. When we become more intentional, that's my advocacy on this issue. When we choose to become more intentional, we can control the change and make a determination of the change. Because whatever we call today tradition, I did anthropology, so I can talk with authority. It's about a group of people at a particular time that choose how they want to live and then make it tradition and project it to the future. We have a choice in our generation whether we want to accept it the way it is or modify it and project a future for our children. My own, in my generation, I'll be one of those advocating that the current institutions right now, there must be a reset. I'm not comfortable with the way I'm seeing the Chiefdoms and the Chiefdom. And this third party king's opinion, and I'll advocate for it until many people start believing like me and we start changing it. Because I'm not willing to translate this to my children or my grandchildren. This nonsense I'm seeing now, no way. If you want to contribute, Barrister Fru, you can contribute a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not contributing. I want to take off from where Barrister Mbeseha left. There is a controversy now brewing in Victoria. A Bamenda man, a man from Meta, who is a businessman in America. He has a lot of money and has gone and seized somebody's property in Victoria at Old Town. Not only that, he has gone and connived with the government in Yaoundé to take over the slave city of Biya for himself. And this man is making this struggle look like the Northwesterners are now engulfing and seizing property of the Southwesterners. And that is encouraging divide and rule. And this idiot, with his money, it means nothing for you to leave America with all the dirty dollars, go down and take and seize an innocent man's property in Victoria, and that is not enough. You go and seize Biya, and then you create, and that's not enough. And that's not enough. You tried and created a cooperative in Victoria called the Diaspora Cooperative Union. Just because you have money, you will go to the Southwest and show your power of the money so that this struggle can collapse, because the Southwesterners will look at us like people who are coming and engulfing and seizing their property.
The truth is that Yaoundé is going to take advantage of that bad behavior and then now divide us the more. It's unfortunate. I'm happy you brought that to attention. We're going to be moving into the 2000 portion. I can't say the entire report, humanitarian report of the Ambazonian government. We're going to be moving into that. But before we move into that, I want us to feel the temperature of what is currently happening in Bamenda now. That these chiefs are not talking about. But they are politicking in Douala and Yaoundé, betraying our cause. These are messages that I get from the home front every single day in dozens. I just because I don't want people to identify the voices of some, I just don't play them. The audios that I get, sometimes in Undaunted, we have a lot of news. Like we don't even know what to report because the messages we get from our people, they are amazing. I just want to highlight this important one. Just one of it. This is what is happening in Bamenda now, and nobody's talking about it. And just after that, we will talk about the report of what the government did for the refugees in December. Stay tuned.
Okay, I've tried to get you, I cannot get you due to network. It is getting to about 3 weeks ago now, which we have no light in Bamenda. And at the same time, there is no the Republic, the Cameroon army are having a prison yard at off station near army camp, in the army camp. Again, all they are packed in my tray, more than 4,000 in my tray. That's what I wanted to tell you. And whenever they arrest a man that he is not having identity card, they will take him to the prison yard until they pay the money, the amount of money asking. It is only that one which I have not yet know the amount. A man told me from that area, a good friend who told me, you know, when I give you a message, make sure that it is a nice message, it is true message. We were taught in SCNC that don't tell lie, tell the truth what you have seen. And the kidnapping of ransom is uncountable. That's why I've tried to tell you. And make sure that I do not deal with the WhatsApp all the time because of credit. We are facing difficulty. Light is being shared in Bamenda mostly in the night, midnight. Thank you so much. Bye. I want to put this in their notice so that you should know. When they say you see something, you say something. We are the citizen. Last time you refused that when I should say something like that, I should not put my name, and it is true. God Kare is always around.
So this is what the people of Ambazonia, even as I speak to you, are going through, not just in Bamenda, in every city, even in Victoria, where Cameroon is having one of their biggest military base. That's what our people are going through. They're going through very devastating situations like this, even in neighboring Nigeria. And we had an opportunity this December, a very special collaboration between ABC Amba Television and Department of Women's Services. We had an opportunity to meet with our people. You can see them. These are people evidently have not eaten well. Mothers that were chased out of their homeland by the deal of Manfi. They went with children. Some of these children have just been born in Nigeria by young girls. Some of them have resorted to prostitute. We have the reports. We're going to be producing about 4 documentaries from all the footages that we got from the different refugee settlements. And I'm talking, when I tell you about the behavior of the UNHCR representatives on the ground, it is not an innuendo. It's not a conspiracy theory. This is factual information of what we're getting. Strikingly, the Department of Women's Services decided for the past 2 years now that they're going to be doing things very differently. We're not just buying bags of rice. Those were Christmas packages that were given to over 2,000 children in all the settlements that we visited. We made sure it was registered. Those who received cash price was at least 1,000 Ambazonians in Nigeria were giving money. Those are the envelopes of monies that were given. You had those who got 20,000, those who got 10, those who got 15,000. Some of the leaders but we made sure everybody could have everything. So the majority of the people had at least a 6,000 Christmas gift that came to them from their government, as per net, by the Department of Women's Services. So I have Dr. Patience here. That's one of the main reasons why you're having Dr. Patience here this evening, so that she can have an opportunity to share more information on this vision and why she decided that this thing can be done a little bit differently. The department is still needing a lot of money. ABC Amba Television is still needing a lot more money to do more things in our broadcasting effort. We're not going to be waiting for people to tell our own stories. We want to make sure that we can also go on the ground and report this, put in our archives, and tell the world the number of refugees we have. Lots of these refugees, close to a UNHCR settlement, have not been registered by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. The question we're asking is why? Why have they not been registered? So I'll be bringing Dr. Patience and the barristers right now for us to talk a little bit more on this as we conclude this evening. It's been an amazing time that we've had and a very powerful discussion. Dr. Patience, this is where I bring you first of all. You want to give to us a resume, an overall of this whole initiative from beginning, those who donated, perhaps this is the time you want to talk to them, what you need again, what we need. We know that we still need much more. If out of the hundreds of thousands of refugees, we could just do this with very little that came in, we think that we need much more to do more. I also understand that you sent some things to Ghana as well, in that you also send money and resources to the prisons in all across the Cameroons, which is applaudable. On behalf of Ambazonians and the president who has mandated you in that office to work, I want to say thank you very much. But give to us a report from your own lips as best on the information you have.
Thank you, Dr. Paddy. The best place to start is to start with the donors. I want to appreciate every single one who donated money towards this Be an Angel Christmas Fund Drive that started sometime at the end of November. We had donations ranging from $10 to $1,000. And one group in particular, the spiritual cabinet, gave us $1,600 and something dollars. A lot of people donated $100, $50, varying amounts. And the women in the department were grouped into different groups and advised to raise funds. In fact, our goal was really to reach out to the international community and raise funds from non-Ambazonians, because as you know, throughout this almost 8 years going, we've really spent money from our own coffers, and we are getting dried out. People are getting financially drained, with considering the fact that we also have to draft. So based on that, we really appeal to people to reach out to friends and families of co-workers, people from their different churches, and just ask for small donations. They say drops of water make an ocean. So that is really the premise we use to get this money. And we're able to raise about $12,000 for this initiative. The goal was to reach out to the most vulnerable in Nigeria. We have some 3 major settlements there that we worked with leaders in the different settlements to carry out this project. And I want to give a shout out, mighty thanks to the ABC Amba representatives that had to travel from one settlement to the other, you know that sometimes you have to be careful about security issues when you're carrying money around or when you have to deal with, dividing money, because you have to think about your own safety. So I want to use this opportunity to thank all of them, the ABC team that assisted in this project. One thing we did differently this time. In the past, we gave money, and we thought about, as people growing up in Southern Cameroon, and when we were children, we loved gifts for Christmas. So we thought to do something a little bit different this year, and just buy tokens. We had bags for the children that had sweets, biscuits, juice, candies, things that you want to enjoy on Christmas Day. And I think we were able to distribute, according to what I was told, about more than 1,000 or 2,000, about 1,000 to 2,000 bags to all these children.
Yeah,
You can see the
at least 2,000. At least 2,000.
yeah. And think about this. Look at the children. Some of them are very young. So some of these kids were born born in Nigeria. They were not, or some of them came when they were babies, and this is their new home. It's such a pity that they are living like this when they have a beautiful land in Southern Cameroon that is so rich that they could farm and be able to take care of families. But that's not what's going on because of the war that Biya meted on us, and that's why our people is suffering. In terms of outreach to the prisons, we really didn't reach out to all the prisons. The main outreach was to Kundigi and the principal in Yaoundé. And we had somebody who we trust, who was able to buy bags of rice, groundnut, and charcoal, and take to them for them to use for Christmas. And it just came on the same day that they needed it. So I've gotten feedback from some of them from jail, appreciating that gesture. We were not able to. We're still waiting to hear from our handlers who will be able to take care of those in Boya and possibly Manfe. We're still waiting. We have their money set to the side. We also reached out to a lot of war widows. We are still in the process of reaching out to some of them, but we have a lot of war widows that need money from us. So we send them through representatives from some of the counties. We send them cash, and we have feedback. So sometime in the near future, the response from them will be shared in the different fora. And in fact, maybe you can include it in your documentary when you finally get the complete documentary capturing everything. I just want to say that this is a very tedious process. And although it's been a successful thing the past 2 years, it's difficult to do this year in, year out for safety reasons, because sometimes those who are going to these places to do this distribution, we have to think about their safety. And you probably have some words to share about this, Paddy. So, when there's a problem, you have to think about ways to do things differently next time. And I am really, really thinking very hard that in 2025, we may have to come up with a different method of reaching out to refugees. And I brought it up during cabinet meeting last time. We'll have to develop it and come up with a better, if it's doable. I don't want to say it on air, but I think that if we go that route, it may be something that is sustainable. And I will stop here for now. If my colleague, Barrister Nsoh, say something, or giving you.
Before Barrister Nsoh and Barrister Mbeseha comes to conclude on this, I want us to just watch a few testimonials. We have tens and tens of them, hundreds of them, but let's just watch a few testimonials from the ground.
Thank you. Now we go help you so that we go be happy. They die hungry for settlement. Thank you very much.
I know say una go really help me with this support. Thank una plenty. Thank una so much. Okay, good afternoon, sir. I want to thank this government, the government of President Sako, and I want to thank una so much for una support. For so long way, I face so many challenges, and I receive una support way.
In fact, the entire exercise cost $1,400,000 naira. And thereafter, some other sympathizers now were giving him support. And luckily enough, we have secured this apartment you see here as a reception center for new arrivals of refugees.
I thank God as the leg house removes, but it's very, very hard for me because it has not been easy for me. So that's it.
I just thank God that everything is fine. Even my mom, the other time my mom was crying, saying that the caretaker was crying and saying that it's too much, everything is too much. But I thank God for Dr. Ojong's only encouraging her to finish the six cycles of chemotherapy.
And I took her to the theater in General Hospital and performed a minor operation on her we call cervical excision lymph node biopsy. And after I did the operation for her, I took the sample to the teaching hospital where a test called histology was done.
I'm suffering in Nigeria. Look at the type of food I'm eating in Nigeria. Like I'm a fowl, which is not in our side in Cameroon. I cannot eat that type of food. So please, people whatever when I do, when I see a wala, they can't chop where I get what they chop also.
Where we have dozens of such images. I'm sure the young lady you guys were seeing there talking and Dr. Ojong. I want to bring this lady again. She has just under her treatment was close to more than 5,000, more than 5 million. Her treatment alone. She has cancer. This is a young girl from Umoja, from Manu, an orphan. And this is the doctor helping him, Dr. Ojong, helping her to seek for help and to make sure that she can get treatment. Her case is very particular. There's another guy we just saw there with amputated leg. His eyes, this is another person. His leg is amputated. He has even vision. He has attempted suicide more than 3 times. Another refugees had to just hold him back. And he's getting some hope. We sent him assistance last year. This year again, we managed to give something to him. What we're giving to these people generally is not really much, but some of them are just happy that at least somebody's thinking, because getting a plate of food in Nigeria for even a regular citizen is not easy right now. The inflation in Nigeria is a totally different ballgame. In 2018, when I was in Nigeria, you could buy food at Mama Put for 150 naira, 200 naira. Right now, Mama Put, a meal in Mama Put is about 2,000. And lots of Nigerians don't even have 2,000 in a week. We talk about millions. Then think about our refugees. Probably that's one of the reasons why the UNHCR is not wanting to take responsibility, because you could have even Nigerians who are saying they're unable to feed themselves. But that is still not an excuse for them to do what they are supposed to be doing. The situation, we don't have enough time. We could talk a lot about it. I just want the barristers to talk to those who are donors. You hear Dr. Patience telling you they have a framework, they still have a lot to do. They have ABC still has a lot to do. We will be coming to you to raise money as ABC one of these days, because based on the president's vision, we don't want to limit ourselves as a broadcasting corporation on what people say. We have realized that if ABC or SCBC had taken responsibility to investigate reports on the ground the way ABC is doing now, both in Nigeria and other countries, where you have your own journalists that go and take images and present them to you, the trajectory in the world wouldn't have been what it is today. You wouldn't have had the Norwegian Refugee Council being at the front of telling the world that, listen, what mainstream is saying is a lie. Cameroon would not have been able to tell the world for 3 years that only 3,000 people have died. So we need your support, and we need it now. It's very needful. Even the Department of Women's Services and HSS need your support today. Barrister Fru and Barrister Mbeseha, I'd like to get your contribution on this. And if Dr. Patience has anything to say at the end, she will say it as we conclude. Please, Barrister Fru, I'll begin with you.
Yes. My Patience, you are an angel. And you have come at the right time, because our people were already dying in Nigeria of hunger. And I want to state here and now that whatever program you come up with, we will ensure that we support you. And I'm calling on all Ambazonians, once in a year, you should know that we have Ambazonians suffering in the refugee camps, not only in Nigeria, but also in Ghana and in other neighboring African countries. And the Department of Women Affairs has taken upon itself to do this work. And we have a moral duty to accompany them, to raise the funds, to make sure that they succeed, to at least bring Christmas to our suffering people in Nigeria and other refugee camps in other countries around West and Central Africa. Ambazonians have refugees everywhere, including even some of us in the United States.
Yeah.
But the United States is different because you can easily find work. But these people, they are suffering. And all I can say is that we are ready to accompany the Department of Women's Affairs in this endeavor. And we are calling on every Ambazonian of good conscience to help this department to feed our people, not only in the refugee camps, in the prisons. And by the way, my patients, in Yaoundé and Douala, we have what you call the IDPs. And I tell you, their situation is also pathetic. It's pathetic.
Most of the young girls, as you speak, Barrister Fru, are prostitutes. You mean Yaoundé and Douala?
Exactly.
Yes. The war has...
They are being insulted. Yes. That they are smelling. They are insulted. Yes. Francophones insult them.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. They are being insulted by Cameroonians. In the streets of Yaoundé and Douala. And they call them that. They say they are smelling. But these girls have been thrown into La République du Cameroun by war, brought upon us by La République du Cameroun. And I tell you,
there are images, Barrister Fru, of ladies that I don't even want to show from Nigeria who have resorted to prostitutes. Some of them have had about 3 kids already.
Yeah.
Some of them are facing very critical conditions. And I'm trying to tell the technicians, I will personally do some of the editing and blur the images when we are producing a final report, because this is something that BBC and the others have the logistics. They go down with sophisticated cameras. We were able to go there with cameras and microphones. And I am surprised how mainstream doesn't have these images that I have in front of me right now. These are not images that are existing anywhere. Mainstream does not have these images, or they are not showing them. I don't want to say they don't have. They are not showing them. I'm surprised.
Well, thank God.
After I got the report from the journalists we sent on the ground and the camera, when I saw some of the images, the one I'm sending to you now is that these are screen images. I'm trying not to. You can't. There's a situation you can't show somebody.
Yeah.
The images for the girls that are, and what kind of prostitution are they even doing? How much are they paying them? It's terrible. Barrister Mbeseha, please.
Well, I don't know
Barrister
what
Mbeseha.
to say or where to start from, but we must say the Department of Women's Affairs and the HSS, they have done a marvelous job. There is nobody who will not encourage them to do more. But you see, this is war. I think, to the best of my knowledge, ours is the only war where we are not only fighting the enemy, we are doing so much to go and help the refugees, help even those in prison. Because by law, when you take someone into your prison, his health care becomes your responsibility. His feeding becomes yours. So we're not supposed to be feeding them. But we know that they are taking that for punishment. And so we still extend to that extent to help even those who are supposed to be protected legally under the custody of the enemy. They're not doing it. I've had the opportunity to say this at least a year ago. You see, in terms of humanitarian assistance, especially food for refugees, it is always going to decline. It declines over time. Because the presumption is that when you settle in a place, even as a refugee, over time, you start to survive on your own, at least basically on food. So food rations reduce. What they may maintain officially for those who are registered are somehow asked for health care that you cannot provide and some very basic things. But food ration would decrease because they presume that, in fact, we're 8 years into this battle. The oldest refugee camps are found, for example, in Palestine. I've been there for 30, 40, 50 years. You don't expect to feed you for that length of time. So I suggested, I hope the Women's Department should take note of this, that we can get a bit of that money, especially in those camps, and then rent land for the women there to farm. If it is not vegetable, because they are living in a camp, it's easier for them to do a collective farm, grow cassava, seasonal crops that will alleviate their hunger. That will be better than sending a bag of rice, because they eat the rice, it's gone. Even to eat the rice, they need vegetable to eat the rice with. So that's the only way, because there's no way the United Nations organization will come and give you food every day, every month for 10 years. We're going to 10 years, and we're lucky to finish it before 20 years. We will not do that.
My gosh.
So if we had done that, if they had some food for themselves, by themselves, we might be restricted to healthcare, some of which they cannot pay the cost. A little finances that we have will go to things like healthcare, maybe buying books. Again, for seasonal occasions like Christmas. The Christmas gift may be little, but it's so important to every little child. So we have to do those. Once a year. But Christmas is not every day. Christmas comes once in a year. So we should try to do that all the time. And I think most people, maybe me inclusive, maybe I don't know what others are like me, I didn't even know the effort that people were doing. And I think most of us did not know. But having known it now, especially if I don't know how you redesign it to make it more popular. If there's a Christmas basket, at least every adult among us knows what a Christmas is to a child. People will chip in $5, $10. That might make a difference. And so again,
that's amazing.
That's the best we can do. But our refugees, wherever they are, should be encouraged to understand that we are doing our best. In all struggles, people contribute money to fight the enemy, not to feed people. We are doing the little that we can do should be appreciated. If we don't do anything at all, it is not because we hate them. It is simply because the means are not there. Because what we are doing is just out of pocket contributions. And the majority of us, especially in the United States, are basically poor. You don't have many people can just pull out $5,000, $2,000 and give. They're not there. And so again, we might do so much for refugees. It might even be more difficult to do something for the internally displaced. How do you go to Douala? How do you go to Bakusam? How do you go to this and do that? You just need education. They need a lot of education. A guy thinks, a small guy, 15, 16, even 20 years, thinks that to go out with a man and I give you 500 is going to save you. Yes, 500 myself. But you might contract a disease that will require a lot of money to treat you. So they need to just understand this. Because the government of Canada is fighting. It is their duty to take care of the internally displaced. They're supposed to do that. But they're not doing it, not because they don't know. They're not doing it just because they want to punish the so-called Anglophones. I watched a program today, free speech, something they have on Equinox. And they were even blaming us, well, there's a lot of crime which is brought into Douala to Bafoussam by these so-called Anglophones. They are blaming us, escaping from war and taking shelter in their place. People are breaking into stores there. They think that they are honor Anglos.
Yeah, they're always looking for ways. They're always looking for ways to blame Anglophones.
All I can say is to thank Madam for the great effort they do. It's not a little effort, they have done so much. Nobody contemplated that. They've done too much. And now we are trying to expand it to Ghana and other places. We can only pray that God will give us the energy, God will give us the power, God will give us the means to do it. But again, let those our refugees. They are not there because nobody wants to be a refugee. Nobody volunteers to be a refugee. But they should also know that we have a limitation to which we can go. They can take the little that we have with the much appreciation. Over to you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for all your time. You've dedicated your entire Sunday. We've been on air now for about 2 hours, 30 minutes. And prior to that, Dr. Patience came very early. So she's been with us in the studio for like 4 hours while we're trying to connect the others. Thank you very much, Dr. Patience. Maybe you have a few words of appreciation or conclusion before we close this program. Thank you.
Okay. Well, let me start by addressing the victims of war, the refugees, the war widows, the orphans, prisoners of conscience, the wounded warriors. We know that the imprint of the war is more on you than those of us in the diaspora. You basically have been the ones that have suffered the most. And we understand that and we feel for you. We promise to continue to do our best with God's guidance, with God's blessing to support you as best as we can. I want to appreciate every single donor. It doesn't matter how much you gave. I want to appreciate you on behalf of the Department of Women's Services. I want to appreciate those women in the department that went far and beyond to raise funds, because some women really just went beyond to get this money from their colleagues, from their friends, from their families. I don't want to call names now because I may call some names and forget some, but they know themselves. Those who raise more than $300, you are all included in. Really, really give you a special thank you. We just know that we are not able to touch every victim. There are some people that did not benefit from this one way or the other. We know that, and we realize that you are still suffering, and we will just continue praying for you guys. Continue praying for you guys, and hope that God will get us to Ambazonia sooner than later. And again, we hope 2025 will be a better year that will do more to get you home. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. Bye-bye.
No matter
the midst of my enemies, I praise. In the midst of my enemies, I praise, I praise. I put on my dancing shoes. There's no way that I can lose. I'll be the last one standing. I'll be the last one standing. My name, my name. Victory is my name, my name. My name, my name. Victory is my name, my name. My name, my name. Victory is my name. Victory is my name, my name. Victory is my name. Goodness and mercy follows me all my days, all my days. Goodness and mercy follows me all my days, all my days. Off my head and behind, on the left, on the right. Off my head and behind, on the left, on the right. Say, goodness and mercy follows me all my days, all my days. Goodness and mercy follows me all my days, all my days. On my head and on the left, on the right. On my head, on the left, in the midst of my enemies. Wave those hands, come on. In the midst of my enemies, I pray, I pray. I put on my dancing shoes. There's no way that I can lose. I'll be the last one standing. I'll be the last one standing. I put on my dancing shoes. There's no way that I can lose. I'll be the last one standing. I'll be the last one standing. My name, hey, yeah, yeah. Victory is my name, my name. Hey, my name, my name. Victory is my name. Victory is my name, my name. Favor is my name. Hey, yeah. Favor is my name. My name. Miracle is my name. My name. Blessing is my name. Blessing is my name. My name. Blessing is my name. My name. Wealth is my name. My name. My name. Blessing is my name. Come on. Up ahead and behind, on the left. Come on. Up ahead and behind, on the left and the right. Hey. Up ahead and behind. Blessings around you. Come on. Say. Up ahead and behind, on the left and the right. Up ahead and behind. Come on. On the left and the right. Up ahead and behind, on the left and the right. Up ahead. Can we go louder, louder, louder? On the head, and behind, on the left, on the right. Come on, ladies. On the head, and behind, on the left, on the right. On the head, and behind, on the left, and the right. Hey! On the head, and behind, my praise is strong, joy overflowing, more than a song. Come on, I'm celebrating in the midst of my enemies. I'll praise. Come on, in the midst of my enemies, I'll praise. I'll praise. Come on, I'll put on my dancing shoes. There's no way that I can lose. I'll be the last.
I can actually see you dancing now in the midst of your enemies. Now that they've heard that the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has been officially invited for the inauguration, I can see you dancing. I know that you're dancing. Now, yesterday's snatch was in Ghana, where she had a performance with some dignitaries there. She was invited in Ghana. She immediately left, and she's currently in America right now. She is she's one of the musicians that have been invited by the Trump's administration to participate in the inauguration. That's quite amazing. And she lives there, probably back to Nigeria or to Houston. But whichever the case is, if you are in America or anywhere in the world and you enjoy this wonderful woman of God ministering around the world with amazing music. It is an opportunity, a unique opportunity for you to participate in one of our events, Shout It Abroad. You would have seen us shown it a couple of times. You can buy your tickets now. If you waste time by this weekend, I'm not sure you may be able to have a ticket. So get your tickets now. They're very affordable tickets. It's been a wonderful evening. We had an extensive conversation, and it all got crowned by the Be an Angel Christmas Reach Out, a portion of a report that we provided to you people, Ambazonians from home and abroad. The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has been invited by the Office of the Vice President to participate in this international event, the inauguration of President Donald Trump. We're suspecting we're going to be broadcasting the inauguration starting tomorrow. After now, most of the images that are coming, ABC will be broadcasting it live just for those who have subscribed on our website and for those who are watching at the home front. And tomorrow we'll be streaming it. We're hoping that the president, in this effort that we're trying to liberate our nation, will also be making new friends that can understand our story. If there's one best marketer of the Ambazonian exceptionalism, wanting to be a nation by law, by their own, wanting to be free totally from the Franco-Cameroon hegemony. If there's one biggest marketer that we have alive today, is President Samuel Ekome Sako. And all of us are excited that he is being given the avenue to meet with dignitaries and diplomats to talk on this issue. See you until next time. See you probably next week. I may come live within the week again to talk on some very important issues. But until then, it's been Tarh King. Thank you for tuning in.
Moving in our midst, I worship you. I worship you.
Hello Houston, Texas, this is Sinach, and I am excited that I have been invited to minister at the Shout It Abroad music concert taking place in Houston, Texas on the 7th of February 2025. It is going to be a time of worship, a time of praise, and I am looking forward to sharing my new music with you.
Everybody now, let's go.
The venue is at the Smart Financial Center, Sugarland, Texas. Make sure you pick up a ticket and bring your friends and your loved ones. It promises to be an amazing time in the presence of the Lord. I look forward to seeing you. God bless.
Victory is my name. My praise is strong. Joy overflowing. More than a song. I'm celebrating in the midst of my enemies. I praise. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you.
Hello Houston, Texas, this is Sinach, and I am excited that I have been invited to minister at the Shout It Abroad music concert taking place in Houston, Texas on the 7th of February 2025. It is going to be a time of worship, a time of praise, and I am looking forward to sharing my new music with you.
Everybody now, let's go.
The venue is at the Smart Financial Center, Sugarland, Texas. Make sure you pick up a ticket and bring your friends and your loved ones. It promises to be an amazing time in the presence of the Lord. I look forward to seeing you. God bless.
Victory is my name. My praise is strong. Joy overflowing. More than a song. I'm celebrating in the midst of my enemies. money, money.